Hello all and welcome to the Golf Course Lawn Show. My name is Ron Henry and I am here to help answer your lawn care questions. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you will see a chat box. In that chat box, you enter your question, concern, comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Now, sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I do not, but either way, we have an awesome time talking about lawn care and sometimes life. So guys, it's been a busy and fun week. Fortunately, a lot of you guys have been reaching out and asking about, how things went with the storm overall. Where we are in Northeast Georgia, we got really fortunate. The storm tracked east of us, so South Carolina, North Carolina got it a lot worse than we did. So we're very, very fortunate. And thoughts and prayers go out to everyone that's still affected by the storm. There's still folks that I know that are in just South Carolina, just up the road, that are without power. So hopefully that gets restored relatively quickly. As always, we're coming to you guys live with YouTube being our primary platform, but you can also find us on Meta as well as on Instagram. So those of you on Instagram, feel free to chime in, ask your questions, comments, and I'll bounce back and forth between the main feed and you guys to make sure that you guys are also included. We don't want you guys to feel left out. So guys, tis the time of year. The question I've been getting from a lot of folks is it time now for your fall fungicide? And the answer is yes. And something else I've been getting questions about are around spray tips, around which spray tip to use and how to set them up and that kind of thing. So I've got 2 nozzles here tonight, and I'm going to walk through all that with you guys. So for any of you that are new to spraying, using a backpack sprayer or a handheld sprayer, whatever you happen to be using, I'm going to show you how I set mine up to get a good result when spraying products on my lawn. And we'll also talk about which spray tip is the better choice based on what you are applying. All right, so let's start off and see what kind of questions we have tonight. Who we have in the live stream. We got Jackie Bear starting it off. He says, "Hope you are good after the storm." I am, man. Can't complain. We're we are good. Power's on, internet's on. Overall, everything has been pretty well, so cannot complain. All right, next up is Diamond. Says, what are some of the best Bermuda seeds on the market? That's a great question, Diamond. So I haven't really been looking into Bermuda grass seeds here recently because it's not something that that I tend to use on my lawn these days. The Yukon is still very popular. You can look into that. Back in the day, Princess 77 and Arden 15 were very popular cultivars that I really liked and had great success with. But these days, Yukon, Monaco, those are our popular grass seeds for Bermuda. As far as best, it's difficult really to say. It really depends on where you are in the country, what look you're going for as far as color, texture, that type of thing, because each of them have their benefits, their pros and cons. So based on that, you can figure out what is best for your particular area. What's best for you or what's best for me might not be necessarily best for you. What you can do is reach out to the folks at Hancock Seeds. I think they're in Lakeland, Florida. Reach out to them and see what they're carrying these days. They tend to have a pretty good bead on new Bermuda grass seed cultivars, and that's why I reach out to you if you're looking to do a renovation project and are planning on doing it the hard way, which means from grass seed. So hope that helps. Next up, you said it's dry here in Texas. Yeah, man, I get it. I get it. We got plenty of rain here in Georgia over the past week due to the storm. But given the choice between it being dry or you guys being hit with a hurricane, I think you're likely going to take the dry weather. I would opt for the dry weather versus a hurricane. That's not great. Power damage, no internet, a bunch of bad things happen when that happens. So dry weather is definitely a worthwhile trade, in my opinion, versus being washed out in the storm. All right, next up we got Chris H. He says, I'm doing fungicide tomorrow, actually. Very, very cool. Chris, is a great time of year to do it. This is the first weekend of October. So absolutely, if you're following our lawn care schedule on the Golf Course Lawn Store, it would be, this past weekend or even this weekend would have been a great time for getting your fungicide out. For any of you guys that wonder what I'm talking about, if you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, if you go to resources, then lawn care schedule, this schedule is a calendar that we put together that covers all 4 seasons, spring, summer, fall, and winter. And at the bottom, we have a product application schedule that walks down, activities as well as products to use based on the month, because this is something you guys were looking for. We're also working on a calendar that will also make available. That should be done here in the next couple of weeks or so, so look out for that. But given that we're in October, you'll see you want to keep up with your mowing as always. And then, as far as a fertilizer to help close out the season, the Stress 12024 is a great option. It's what I used on my lawn. And then it's time for the first fungicide application. So Headway G or Pillar SC. Headway being the granular option and Pillar SC being the liquid option. So it really just depends on which your preference is. Folks have asked, is there a better, a pro or con between the two of them? I'd say this: if you are applying them preventatively, really not a huge difference between the two. If you have an active problem in your lawn, then the liquid fungicide is going to work a little bit faster than the granular will, but they're both equally effective. It's just a matter of speed. So liquid is what I tend to do on my lawn for the most part, because it's just easier, more convenient for me. Granular, though, again, works really well. So Headway G or Pillar SC are both excellent choices. So, Chris was talking about doing fungicide. We can go back to the Golf Course Lawn Store. I can show you the options that I'm using. We can also talk about some tips for applying them. So if you go to shop and then go to fungicide, insecticide, this will bring you to our fungicide, insecticide section. But if we filter by fungicide, you'll see that we have Pillar SC, Headway G, and then Caravan G. So really, what are the differences between these two? So the big difference, or these 3 products, the big difference, first off, is that Pillar SC is strictly a fungicide and it is a liquid product, meaning if you're looking for something that you can apply using a backpack sprayer or a handheld sprayer, then Pillar SC is really where you want to go. It's really easy to use as far as application rate, 1 ounce per 1,000 square feet. So it's really easy to figure out how much to use given how much water you want to use as a carrier to put the product out. Headway G, much like Pillar, is also just a straight fungicide. So the thing with Pillar SC and Headway is that they are only fungicides. They don't have anything else in them, and they both have 2 fungicides in each product. So Pillar SC is pyraclostrobin and another one. I'll tell you the name here. That one I don't remember off the top of my head, but The active ingredients in that are triticloconazole and pyraclostrobin. So that's the group 3 and 11 fungicide that's in Pillar SC. And then Headway G contains propiconazole and azoxystrobin. So both of these are dual modes of action fungicides. They're what I recommend for both preventative control and also for if you have an active problem in your lawn on a residential lawn, they're a great choice. Caravan G is kind of a is a combination product. So it is an insecticide and a fungicide. The fungicide within Caravan is azoxystrobin. So it's a good broad spectrum fungicide, but if you have problems with, like, say, dollar spot, it's not going to do a whole lot for you. So really, Caravan is something I'd recommend. Like, if you're going to do 2 fungicide apps this fall, then Caravan for your first app would be okay, assuming you haven't already put down an insecticide. If you have done that, then I'd really avoid it. But then for your second one, really, you want to go with a straight fungicide product. Most people that use Caravan tend to use it more in the spring, so in May timeframe, and then again in June they follow up with like a straight fungicide a product like Pillar SC or Headway. But it really depends what you got going on. If you got like some insects that are damaging your lawn, then Caravan may make the most sense for you. So you can really decide what based on what you're trying to accomplish and what you have going on in your lawn, which one is the better choice. Now, when it comes to applying fungicide, let's say we're going out with Headway G or Caravan G. Really easy to apply. The only thing you really need to put those out are a broadcast spreader. I personally like the one from Earthway. It's the one that I use. You can actually see it. I probably have it in the product description here somewhere. Let's see here if I can get this to load. And Headway is right here. Yeah. So all you need is one of these guys. So if you have a Scotch spreader, that'll work as well too. But in Earthway is what I do. Pretty much you apply the you put the product in the hopper, set it accordingly, and put it out. And then a couple of years ago, I had an issue with large patch in my lawn, and this picture you're seeing here is actually my lawn. So I had some large patch forming in the springtime, and then 2 weeks later, after applying Headway, that's what I got. So it did a really good job cleaning that up. If you have a Scotch spreader or something else, you can see settings for other spreaders here as well. We have those listed here on the Golf Course Lawn Store. So check out that how to use section as far as tips and tricks as far as how to use the product. They are there. So Headway, pretty easy to get that one, to put that one down. Now, as far as Pillar SC, so this guy here, which covers an acre, I mean, hence why there's 43.5 ounces in it. You're going to want to use the correct spray nozzle. So when it comes to spraying products on your lawn, right, there's multiple categories, but 2 major categories that for our discussion that we'll focus on are products that are foliar based, meaning that they are products that you want a small droplet size. You spray them on the leaf of the plant, of the grass, whatever you happen to be targeting, and you allow it to dry. Right. And for those types of products, you want a finer droplet, kind of like what you're seeing here. This is a T-Jet Tips, the one that I recommend. Excellent spray tip for applying your growth regulator, fertilizers, post-emergent herbicides like Celsius, Certainty, Tenacity, those types of products. So this is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting throughout the season. This is one that lives on my sprayer the most. For applying products that need to get into the soil, so your insecticides, your fungicides, your pre-emergents, right? So anything that needs to get in the soil, those benefit typically from a larger droplet size. So the spray tip you're going to want to use for that is one like this. This is a floodjet nozzle. So some of you guys have gotten these, with you been saying, hey, I've gotten a couple of emails saying I got a floodjet nozzle and I'm using it and it's spraying. I'm spraying it on my feet. So there's a trick for setting it up, and it's not super apparent. Now with the foliar spray tip, you can tell there's really just there's only one orientation, and given that your wand's going to be connected here, you're pretty much spraying straight down. However, because the floodjet tip has a bit of a notch in it, if you were to put this in your sprayer and orient it, actually I'll do it wrong. I'll show you how most people will set it up and why they send me emails, because they're spraying their feet. If you set it up like this, right? So let's imagine the wand is connected here and the nozzle is there. You can see it's kind of spraying back at you. You can see where the notch is. That's no good. We don't want to do this. So the trick is you're going to just take the fitting and flip it over. So again, wand is here, and you're going to orient the notch so that it is spraying down. So this is what you're after. This is how it should look when you're using your flood jet tip. Again, your sprayer, the wand is connected to this. The flood jet tip is inserted and it's spraying straight down. If you do that, you'll be walking along, happy as can be, and literally it'll be spraying straight down on your lawn. You won't be spraying your feet. And this, again, this spray tip, the flood jet spray tip, is what you're going to want to use for applying fungicides like Pillar SC. And again, also useful for insecticides like acetylprin or your pre-emergent of choice, Spectacle Flow, Prodiamine, whatever you happen to be using. So the proper spray tip is really important. When it comes to applying fungicide, once you're done, you are going to want to water it in. So whether it's granular or liquid, you are going to water it in, or time your application around when you expect there to be rain in the forecast. So some questions I've been getting too is like, hey, it's going to rain, this afternoon. Can I run out right now and put out like my fungicide? The answer is yes. The answer is yes for if you're putting out fungicide, pre-emergent, or insecticide, meaning anything that needs to be watered in. It does not matter if you water it in or if Mother Nature waters it in. As long as it gets watered into the soil, you are good to go. So the big thing with most soil-based products, again, like fungicide, insecticide, and pre-emergent, is they need to be watered in after application. So if you're going out this weekend to put out, Caravan or Headway or Pillar, depending on what you're trying to accomplish in your lawn, be sure to water it in. 24 to 48 hours after application will be just fine. But the sooner the better. I tend to either time my applications around when there's going to be rain, or I will I'll apply them and then run an irrigation cycle right after. So whichever way works for you, but get the proper spray tip. Super important. Some of you guys are probably asking, where can I get said spray tip? So I'll help you guys out. The flood jet tip, which is the one you're going to need for fungicide, insecticides, and pre-emergent, is this guy right here. And then the one for spraying, again, I should call it the heavy lifting tip, the one that's really going to live on your sprayer most of the time, which is for your fertilizers, your growth regulators, your post-emergent herbicides, is going to be that guy. They are not expensive, so if you got both of them, I think you'll spend like $10 to $12, so it's not really going to break the bank. So have both. Something I do as well too, as you'll notice, is like the sprayer that we carry only comes with one of these adapters, and you can just use the one that it comes with and just swap back and forth. I ordered two just so I have some clean ones here to keep inside the studio just for props, but ordering a second one of these is a great idea, because then whenever you are swapping to, say, to pre-emergent or some kind of product that needs the flood jet tip, you're just swapping the whole fitting and you're not having to unscrew the nozzle, swap tips out. In my opinion, it makes the seal, because in here there's a rubber gasket. It makes it last longer, because if I can show you here. Yeah, so it's the end cap, the spray tip, and then there's a gasket. Get my hand behind it. It's a gasket that seals it. So if you're taking this on and off, all the time, the chances of you inducing leaks or having leaks is higher than if you just, this setup pretty much lives on this adapter, and I just swap the adapters back and forth. So again, these are like not that expensive, and I'll throw a link where you can pick them up if you're so interested. But yeah, I'd highly recommend invest in another one of these, and that way you can have one just for your pre-emergent, your pre-emergent, your insecticide and fungicide, and then one for pretty much everything else. So, all right. So I hope that helps, Chris. I know you're putting out fungicide tomorrow, but it's something I had to talk about because I've been getting a lot of email about it, and now I can just share this section of the video with anyone that has questions, because I'll have explained it all. All right. Let's check out Instagram here. Nothing from anyone there, so we shall move on. All right. Next up is Sizzler. It says, I have a small brown spot on my fescue that just showed up. Grass isn't easy to pull up, so I don't think it's grubs. I'm guessing fungus. It's been warm days and cool nights and rainy lately. It could be disease. It could also be that, we've had a pretty dry summer. I'm not sure what part of the country you're in, but if the lawn has dried out and hasn't been getting a lot of water, that one area may be just showing just heat stress or damage faster than other areas. It could be a disease problem too. If you might need to apply a fungicide, but I would say that if especially if you don't have a history of there being problems there, then maybe it's really not a disease problem. It could be just just a localized dry spot. So first thing you could do is try increasing the watering, or do some spot watering in that area just slightly, and seeing if, in a week or so it improves. If you just want to be super cautious, you can absolutely put out a fungicide, again, Headway or Pillar SC, depending on whether you prefer granular or liquids, would be my recommendation. You know what? I should link this. We can get your fungicides and put this up in the chat for you guys as well. So you can get your fungicides here. It'll be the pinned comment. So you guys will know exactly where to go. All right. Okay. So next up we have Brick Rehab. It's been a while, man. Good to see you're still around. He says, yes, dry in Texas, and I wanted to check out after the week of cool weather. It's coming back and slowly. Yeah, that's the thing, man. All you guys with cool season lawns, especially if you're in Texas or in the South and you have a cool season lawn, this summer, cool season turf grass took a beating. I had some pictures from some folks that are in Virginia that have had some of their lawns like showing some dry spots in it, and they're saying, is there a problem? I'm like, well, no, just lack of water, man. It's really been really hot, not a lot of rain. They haven't been running irrigation, so something's got to give. Now that we're in October and we are getting cooler weather, in other words, it's really, the trend is really with the weather cooling off. You should start seeing the lawn coming back nicely. So I would just be patient. It's especially if you have a cool season lawn. If you haven't been watering it, then it just give it some time. All right, Stephen Wynn is up next. He says, happy Friday, y'all. Don't forget to hit that like button. I appreciate that, Stephen. Thank you for leading the charge. That's always appreciated. And yeah, definitely hit that like button. It costs you absolutely nothing. It's a free way to support the channel, sends good vibes to YouTube, and makes more people come over and hang out and with us, talking about turf care. All right. Tonight's beverage of the evening is my favorite. Your Chick-fil-A lemonade and water. So I'm cutting it because some of you guys get on my case. You say, I drink too much sugar. You're not the only one that tells me that. So it's like half and half. No watermelon in it tonight. I'm just going straight with the good stuff. Just water and the lemonade. All right. Next up, we have Diamond. He says, can I mix propiconazole, urea, and hydrotane in the same tank? Here's the thing. I don't know, Diamond. I've never done that combination. I would be inclined to tell you no. So I wouldn't do propiconazole and hydrotane are a maybe, but really I would apply those separately. If you told me you wanted to do propiconazole and pre-emergent, sure. With hydrotane, unless you're going to do what's called a jar test, you get like a mason jar like this, one that doesn't have fertilizer in it, obviously, and you put a little bit of hydrotane, a little bit of everything else you're looking to put together, and add water, and then agitate it and see if there's any kind of weird interactions. That would be a way to test if that combination would work well together. I've never done that. I don't spray straight urea on my lawn, so I can't help you there. And then whenever I do propiconazole, it's in the form of Headway G. So for my liquid fungicide, I don't really put anything else out with that unless I'm doing like a Celiprin. Like I've mixed, I'll show you what combinations I have done. Like I have done a Celiprin and Pillar SC together. Like I've put these two in the tank together. There's no issues at all with that as far as that going out. But as far as putting out a fertilizer, a fungicide, and a moisture manager all in the same tank at once, I, again, never tested it, so I can't tell you for sure. A jar test would be the way to confirm whether or not that would work well for you. All right, next up is Quincy Cordoba. He says, good topic. Rust spot on zoysia seems to show twice a year at spring green up and fall slow down. Yeah, so if your zoysia doesn't drain well, Quincy, that can be some of what you are seeing. We did a piece here on rust disease a couple weeks ago. So like I say a couple weeks ago, it's been a month ago at this point. So in late August, of how to get rid of rust disease in your lawn. So it talks about what it is, how it affects the grass, the signs of it. What are some of the like how you can identify whether it's that or something else. Rust is pretty easy to see because it literally looks like rust on the grass. It looks like that. And then options for taking care of it, and then post treatment care. So what I'm going to do is I'll link this here in the chat for you, so you'll be all squared away as far as some quick reading material. The big thing is with zoysia, you're not the only one. Like the turf park, like the Real Realist Turf Park, not this year, but last year had issues with that in the El Toro zoysia plot. So because the big thing with zoysia is that unlike no grass likes to be overwatered, but zoysia, you really can have disease problems with it if it gets too wet. So you really don't want to overwater zoysia. I'm not sure if what kind of irrigation cycle you're running this time of year. You said spring and fall, so times of year when it tends to be cooler, and if you are watering a lot with not a lot of heat to help evaporate that excess moisture, that's when you can create conditions where disease can be more of a problem. So again, without seeing your lawn, without knowing what your watering cycle is like, if you are running your irrigation, I would back that down. On my lawn, which is Bermuda, during the late spring and summer months, I'm watering 3 times per week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Now I've switched to only 1 day a week. So I think my irrigation cycle is set to just Wednesday. So just 1 day out of the week, I'm running irrigation. The temps are cooler now and we're getting rain. So there's no reason to get out there and always be hammering the lawn with a lot of water. So while watering is important, while your grass does need water, like most things in life, too much of it is not a good thing. So I try backing that down if you're watering excessively. And to help you out with that, again, this is the blog post that we did on lawn rust. It's not super long. Give it a read and give you some options for controlling it, as well as just preventing the conditions, avoiding the conditions that can cause the problem to manifest itself in the first place. So hope that's useful. Sorry you're dealing with that, but it's a pretty easy one to get under control. All right, next up is Jackie Bear. He says, Happy weekend, everybody. What's going on, Jackie? Thank you so much for coming in and stopping by to say hi. Really do appreciate you. And over here on the gram, let's see who we have with as far as comments go. We got Medi Only says, I want to overseed rye on my Bermuda. My sod is still here though. Would that be okay? Yeah. So most people that decide to do a fall overseed of Bermuda grass, they do it on their existing lawn. You don't like rip out the Bermuda and put ryegrass seed down. So what will be helpful for you to get a good result with it is if you can thin the Bermuda out a little bit. So either verticut it or maybe cut it a little bit shorter to where there's as far as getting good seed to soil contact, like that's improved. That's going to help the germination rates you're going to get with the ryegrass if you decide to go that route. Something to keep in mind, Med Only, is that if you want the Bermuda to do well in the springtime, so kind of beginning with the end in mind, you're starting now and you want to fast forward till say March, April timeframe. Really, when Bermuda begins to come out of dormancy, which for most people is in that March, April timeframe, unfortunately, that's when the ryegrass is also going to be looking absolutely gorgeous. And if you don't want the Bermuda to have difficulty coming out of dormancy, meaning you don't want that transition out of dormancy to be stunted, you're going to have to get rid of the ryegrass. So good options for that are to use a selective herbicide like Celsius to get rid of the ryegrass. But just keep that in mind. If you go forward with a overseed this time of year, plan to get rid of it in the spring, in the early spring, actually when the ryegrass is looking really good. If you don't want to do anything to help to prevent the Bermuda from coming out of dormancy. So there are some folks that have tried the whole thing of, well, I'm just going to let the ryegrass die off by itself and give it time. What you end up with if you do that is the Bermuda doesn't wake up very well and the ryegrass doesn't die off really until June, and you have a lawn that looks like hot garbage. So enjoy the ryegrass, enjoy the fact that you're going to be the only person on your block, on your street with a green lawn in the wintertime. That's kind of cool. So you've won the cool factor from that standpoint, but be prepared to get rid of it in the spring once you're done with that. All right, next up we have Straight Chillin 53. He says, I'm new to the lawn game. Am I supposed to do a soil test before the temperature goes down? I live in Austin, Texas, and the weather is still warm, or wait till spring. It doesn't really matter. So doing your soil test is not really temperature sensitive. What I recommend for most folks, at least initially when you are first starting out, is to do a soil test in the spring and in the fall. Doing one this time of year in the fall, and the one that we recommend is the one from My Soil because they are really easy to use. You mail these out, you get your results via email within a week, and the nice thing is your soil test results stay in their web portal. So once you do that, let's say you do a soil test now, and then in the spring you do another one, you're able to easily compare how the soil is changing over time. So the reason why you would do a soil test in the fall, even though your lawn is beginning to go dormant, is to check your soil pH. That's the biggest thing that I tell people to look for in a fall soil test, because if your soil pH which I believe stands for is the power of hydrogen, which has a really big impact on nutrient availability. Meaning, if you put out like a fertilizer, like your pH being in the correct area for most grass types, being in the sixes, is important for the nutrient that you put into the soil being available for uptake by the plant. So unlike fertilizer, unlike some of the nutrients that the soil needs in larger quantities, like your nitrogen, your phosphorus, your potassium, and the micros, which are easier to correct, like you can correct those faster. Moving soil pH, depending on where you are, can take quite a bit longer. So if you found out, say you go out and you do a soil test, and you find out that your soil is very acidic, right? Which around here in Georgia, our soils tend to be more on the acidic side, so we have to add lime. Given that pH can take months given that the lime can take months to react with the soil to where you see an improvement, a measured improvement in pH levels, getting that data now in the fall makes sense. So you can do your lime application now. You're going to have it all throughout the fall into the early spring for that to work. And then when you do another test in the spring, you should see a noticeable improvement. So a soil test in the spring and the fall are a good idea. So the one in the fall, primarily what I look for or measure for that one is where your soil pH is, and make adjustments accordingly. And then with your spring soil test, it's really to set your plan for the season, right? So if you wanted to see, hey, where's my soil at, late February, early March timeframe, so I can figure out what fertilizer is the best fit for my particular soil, a soil test is going to help answer that question for you. So yeah, they're really important. It's like literally the cheapest or the best $30 you will spend in your lawn care program. Pretty much everything else costs more money: fertilizer, herbicides, biostimulants, all that stuff costs more than a soil test. And a soil test has huge impact as far as your nutrient program, which by extension will affect the quality of turf grass you're able to grow. All right, so yes, to answer your question, it's a long-winded way of saying yes, get a soil test. It's a really good idea. We sell them on the golf course lawn store. Big thing is pick one, stick to it, stick with it, and again, just treat your soil based on what the deficiencies that it exposes, if any. All right, so I've already answered that question, Med only, and then said he says some people say don't overseed on new sod. Is that false? Please advise. Yeah, I didn't see where your sod is new. I didn't see where you said that. Okay, you said your sod said her. I guess by her you meant new. Yeah, so new sod, I would avoid it. Reason being is that you are introducing another stand of grass, another cultivar, another plant to a newly sodded lawn, which is going to compete with Bermuda, especially in the springtime when it had time for it to come out of dormancy. So if you told me you have a newly sodded lawn and it was sodded, like say this time last year, then yeah, you're fine to go this year. But if you have a new lawn that you sodded in, say, April, May, June, like over in the last few months, then yeah, I would avoid overseeding it, because while you can do it and the ryegrass will grow in, what I'd be concerned about is when you get to the spring next year, right? As far as whenever you have to get rid of that ryegrass, and it's just not worth it, in my opinion, on a brand new lawn. Can you do it? Yes. Is it recommended? Is a great idea? Not necessarily. So it's really your call whether or not you can tolerate or you want to risk the chance of potential damage, but really your call. I personally, if you had installed the new lawn within the last 6 months, I would avoid it. All right, back to the YouTube. Let's see what else we've got here as far as questions and or comments. Let's see here. We says, Aaron Pete says, I had a friend that put out spectacle flow right before Helena. Is washout a concern? No, I really wouldn't worry about it, Aaron. So the thing is, I'm not sure what rate they did, but if they are doing multiple applications of spectacle, so doing an application now, then another one, say in like December timeframe, then there's nothing really to worry about. I would not go out and do another app. It should be just fine, because it obviously depends on what part of the country they are in. But if their house is still intact, their lawn is still intact, there's not stuff floating across the lawn, you're probably okay. So a lot of water is not going to be a problem. So yeah, I would not go out and do another app. It should be just fine. All right, next up we have Alan Coleman Jr. Before we get to that, let me just kind of like expound on that a little bit. So this is a question you're asking about spectacle, but really that also applies to other products that you apply to your lawn as well. If you put out pre-emergent and you got a heavy rain, then do you need to go out and redo it? The answer is no. Like, if you guys saw my lawn after Helena had come through. I'm not sure if I still have it. I think I do. Yep. Yeah. So this is my lawn. This was on Friday morning last week. So like a week ago. A week ago today. So that's what I had on my lawn. My lawn has already had pre-emergent applies, already had fungicide put out on it. If I had seen that, would I want to run out and reapply pre-emergent or reapply fungicide? No, absolutely not. Because just a few hours later, 4 hours later, that is how it looks. So it drains properly. And there wasn't really a problem. So the long short of it is, when it comes to applying products to your lawn, especially if there are ones that need to be watered in, if you get a heavy rain, it's not something that I would use as a reason to go out and apply the product again. You're going to be just fine. All right. Next up is Alan Coleman Jr. He says, Ron, finally able to hop on the stream in Augusta area and just got power back today. Wow, that's not good. He's been out since Friday, finally got the yard cleaned up and ready to get back at it. Nice, Alan. Glad to see that you're okay. You got power back, obviously, because you're on the internet. I'm guessing if everything were still a mess, you'd have other things to do other than get on a lawn care live stream. So glad that you and hopefully your family and everyone else are doing okay. And yeah, you got it, man. Just pick up where you left off and keep it moving. Keep going, right? Stephen Wynn is next. He says, I use Headway G on 923, and I'm seeing probably 100 web spots around the lawn. How do I know if it's spiders or fungus? If fungus, what should I do now, or wait till the second app in November? Thanks, Ron. So if it's hard to say without seeing a picture, Stephen. It's probably what you're seeing is possibly dollar spot. If I were guessing, because I can't imagine that every morning when you go out and look at your lawn, you're going to see 100 spider webs run all over your lawn and leave 100 web spots. It's more than likely that it is perhaps the beginning of dollar spot. You already put Headway G out, so I really wouldn't worry about it. I would not do another application now. I would wait until your next app in November. I'll tell you, like on my lawn, what this year not as much, and especially since I've been doing like turf raking and verticutting regularly, it's been less of a thing. But typically when I would see those little small cobwebs on my lawn early in the morning, by the time you got to mid-morning, 10 o'clock or so, they're completely gone. There's no damage. Now, Bermuda is somewhat unique in the sense, or I'd say an aspect of Bermuda. It's not really unique, but it's an aspect of Bermuda is that dollar spot normally isn't a problem if the lawn is being fed a good diet of nitrogen. Meaning if your nutrient program is on point, dollar spot typically doesn't do a whole lot of damage in Bermuda lawns. I'm not sure what kind of grass you have. I think you're in Virginia, so you may have a cool season lawn. But the long short of it is, a week and change ago, you applied a fungicide. I really wouldn't worry about it. I think you're going to be just fine. I would not go out and do another application. So hope that helps, Stephen. I'm glad that you are keeping an eye on the lawn. I'm leaning towards dollar spot more so than actual spiders. All right, especially if it's happening every morning. All right, next up is Higgy Pop. He says, happy Friday. Have a great show. Thanks for all the great advice. You are very welcome, Higgy. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your Friday to come hang out here in the live stream. I really do appreciate it. And then next up, we have, let's go over here to Instagram. We got a couple of questions here, so let's make sure we can see what these folks are up to. So Just a Good Conversation says, I have spots in my Bermuda grass that stayed thin all summer. Water was even, lots of sun. Any suggestions? Okay, so you have areas that were thin all summer. The watering was even across the entire lawn. So one thing I would do is whenever you have thin or bare spots in a Bermuda lawn, check for, it could be a disease problem, it could be sunlight, or it could be some debris near the surface. And by near the surface, I say within like 4 inches of the surface. So you're saying your watering is on point. You're saying the air is getting plenty of sunlight. What I would do next is get like a screwdriver, like a long Phillips screwdriver or flathead, whatever you got, and try inserting it in the soil in that spot. If it stops an inch or two beneath the surface, what you may have is a rock or some building debris or some other trash that's right underneath the surface, which is going to negatively impact how well the grass does. What you tend to find is during like the cooler times of year when the lawn isn't stressed as much. So in the springtime and in the fall, you don't necessarily see it as much. But in the summertime, like late spring, early summer, is when it gets hot, is when like if there's any debris that is having causing issues with moisture, that is when you really see it. So I would check that. Given that it sounds like you've looked at a lot of the other things as far as water and sunlight, I would look at potential debris under the near the surface. All right. So hope that helps, sir. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. All right, next up we got Dalen Krause in the live stream. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron. Happy Friday, Jalen. Hopefully you are doing all right." And then next up is Squid Vicious. Says, "Any thoughts on classic 1836 liquid fertilizer by Growth Products?" I can't say. I've never used them. I'm not familiar with the brand, so I can't say that I can give you my feedback for or against. I've never actually used it. All right, next up is Jocelyn Y. Buckley. Says, "What fungicide do you recommend for Kentucky bluegrass? And is it okay to apply it in areas of newly germinated KBG from seed? I had some bare patches, New Mexico." Okay, great question, Jocelyn. So really it depends on your preference. If you prefer to use a liquid product, meaning you have like a sprayer, whether it's a backpack sprayer or a handheld sprayer, and you prefer to use liquid products, and another benefit to liquid products, I didn't mention this earlier, is that the cost per application, so the cost per application using something like Pillar SC tends to be lower than the cost per application of using a granular product. So it really depends on what your preference is. If you prefer liquid products, then Pillar SC would be an excellent choice. So this guy right here. And if you prefer granular products, then Headway G would be a good choice. So if you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, go to Shop, and then Fungicide, Insecticide. So if you prefer liquids, Pillar SC. If you prefer granular, Headway G. So either one of those are going to work well. We've got the pinned comment at the top of the live stream, which will take you here to both these options. So whichever one you want to go with will be fine. And as far as using that on a new lawn, that's going to be okay. There's not going to be an issue with it. Big thing I would say is, as always, stick to the rates. When it comes to Pillar SC, it's really easy. It's 1 ounce over 1,000 square feet. So if you take that 1 ounce, you mix it with a gallon of water, or you mix it with 2 gallons of water, doesn't really matter. As long as that 1 ounce goes over 1,000 square feet, you're going to be good to go. And then for Headway G, it's about 2 pounds per 1,000. So that 30-pound bag is going to cover around 15,000 square feet. So it really just depends, again, whichever is more convenient for you is the way I would go. Either of them are going to be effective. Not going to be a problem at all. So just whichever you prefer, you can go with. And again, the pinned comment on the live stream, but because I like you, I'll link it to you again, is where you can pick those up. All right, so at Jocelyn, JOC. All right, so there you go. All right, next up is Dalen Krause. He says, "I sent you pics of and a couple of videos of my Tahoma yard and the football field I've been helping with. On the football field, I'm mowing with a John Deere 3235A, and I have it set 3/4 of an inch. They love it." Sounds like some big hardware you're dealing with there, Dalen. And I think I do remember seeing that picture. Yes, I do have them. Let me bring them to the masses so everyone can see. Everyone can appreciate all the labor of all your hard work, right? We gotta make that happen. So live stream 4th and Dalen. All right, so let me get this first one up here. The video might be difficult for me to show, but this is his Tahoma 31 yard. Dalen's been a viewer of the channel for a while, and he did a renovation a few years back, and you can see how that looks. Absolutely gorgeous. Picture 1, picture 2 of what he's working with. Man, I gotta tell you, man, dude, now here's the thing, Dale. Now let's call a spade a spade. Looking at this lawn, looking at this play set, do you actually allow the kids to use the tree house you have there? Because that lawn looks so pristine. I'm not seeing any wear marks on it. It's almost like you have the tree house there just as a prop. I mean, if they're on there and it's wearing really well, okay. But I'm just saying that lawn looks absolutely perfect. I mean, the turf looks incredible, man. So I mean, if you just want to put a treehouse on there just to be able to show that, hey, it's not just for show. That lawn puts in work. I get it, but it just looks really good for a lawn that's actually used. And then of course he's going the obligatory hand on the lawn picture to show you guys how tight and dense and green that is. Looking absolutely solid. Man, Tahoma 31 is so gorgeous. So good. Man, really nice, man. That's 3/4 of an inch, huh? Looking good, sir. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And then I think we have a picture of the football field, the soccer, the field that he's also working on. I said soccer field, the football field that he's on, and also looks quite nice. Very cool, man. And you're using some serious hardware to cut it. Looks great, man. Looks great. Now, granted, I will say this. You can see that the lawn, like your yard, is getting a bit more love, or is I'd say it's got a bit more mature program than what the football field is getting, but it still looks pretty good, man. Great, great stand of turf grass. Great job mowing it. Nice of you to help them out as far as getting it right, because obviously all the work you've been putting in, you know what you're doing. It's really cool, because I remember you sharing pictures with us. Maybe it's last year or the year before. It all kind of runs together when you were doing the renovation of your lawn with Tahoma 31. And then now you've expanded to you're now like the little expert in your area, right? So now you're taking care of football fields and all kinds of stuff. So very cool, man. Keep it up. Keep going. Very, very nice. Thank you for sharing it with us. Really, really do appreciate it. And then I'm not sure if this, video I can't. Yeah, video is not going to work. All right. And you said the football field is probably Tifway. Okay, so that explains the difference in color. So that's a good point. So this difference between Tifway and Tahoma, so Tifway 419, Tahoma 31. Now, keep in mind, it is a different angle and sunlight and all this kind of stuff, but you can really see the difference in color between a Tifway 419 stand of Bermuda grass and Tahoma. Really, really dark color, really gorgeous. Looks absolutely incredible. Great work, man. Looks great. All right. Ryan Contento is in the live stream. He says, happy Friday, Ron. Happy Friday, Ryan. Hopefully you are doing well, sir. Appreciate you taking some time out of your Friday to come say hello in the live stream. Appreciate you. And then next up is Alan Coleman. He says, have you ever done a foliar app for fungicide? Clary's lists letting the app sit on the blades before watering it in for foliar diseases, trying to knock out dollar spot. Yeah, so there are a couple of them that to where there is some benefits allowing it to stay on the leaf for a while. So I believe dollar spot's one of them. Also, if I'm not mistaken, fairy ring is one of them where you want to allow it to sit for a little while before watering in. So in my case, no, because I don't really, for the most part, I've gotten my fungicide program such that I'm using it preventatively. Like I use it to keep problems at bay. So I'm pretty much watering it I'm applying it and watering it in. But if you know what you're dealing with and the label calls for allowing the product to sit on the leaf tissue for a few hours before watering it in, then, by all means do that. Whatever the label says as far as what's going to help you produce the best result, you should absolutely follow. We absolutely follow. All right. Next up is Mr. H. He says, good evening, Ron. I have a small lawn. Therefore, what is a good broadcast hand spreader? Thank you. I'll tell you, the only ones I've ever seen, Mr. H, are like the Scott's ones. I don't have a lot of experience with hand spreaders. I've never even owned one. So look into the one from Scott's. The thing is on the Golf Course Lawn Store, for any of the fertilizers that we carry, we do have settings for Scott's. And Scott's is typically pretty good about whatever the setting is for, like, in other words, the setting being the same across different spreaders. I don't know if that carries over to the hand spreader, but if not, either there would be a conversion chart to be able to find a line somewhere to be able to say, if you have a setting of 3 on a Scott's Elite, what that equates to the handheld spreader. So just double check that. That'd be the only thing I would tell you. But I don't have a lot of experience with them because I've never even owned one. So to be able to tell you which one is good, not going to be a whole lot of help on that one, unfortunately. So the one thing I tell you is if you are going to go with a broadcast hand spreader, make sure that you're really disciplined about how you walk and make it the application as even as possible, which is why I'm such a huge fan of like the actual push broadcast spreaders. Like in my opinion, they tend to do a more even job than someone using a crank or using one of the battery powered ones. But I guess with practice you can get pretty good results as well too. So look into the ones from Scott's and go from there. Again, on the store for Humic Max or any of the other fertilizers that we carry, there is going to be a section under the how to use section that covers Scott's. So just check in the spreader conversion chart to make sure that that setting also applies to the handheld version. All right, Southern Abe is up next. He says, hey Ron, happy Friday. What are 2 fungicides you rotate with Pillar SC? Yeah, so really if I'm I'm someone that is primarily using um, fungicides from a preventative standpoint. Southern Abe, if I say I'd done 2 rounds of say Pillar SC and the disease problem was still present, then I would rotate to a different group fungicide like 336F, like the Clary's 336F. Like that would be a good choice because that one is a group 1 fungicide. Rotating from Pillar SC to say something like Headway, while you can do that, they're both in the same family. So, right, like Headway is a group 3 and 11, if memory serves me, and Pillar SC is also a group 3 and 11. Even though they're different fungicides, they're in the same family. So, really, what you want to do is rotate groups. You want to rotate, frat groups as far as if you have to do more than 2 subsequent apps. So, I can do Pillar SC in May and June, and then I'm not really going to be doing anything for fungicide until this time of year, October, November. And I could do Pillar SC again, or I could use Headway. Like that, there's folks that have been doing that program and have had great results with it. It's really whenever you've already done 2 apps and for an active problem you're trying to control, and it's still not getting better. That's when you really want to look at rotating. So hope that helps. Pillar SC, you can rotate between it and Headway if you want to in the spring and fall, or you can use just granular, in spring and fall if you want to. It's really when you get to that 3rd app is when I think it's a good idea to rotate groups. It's a good question. Next up, we have Let's Go Phil says, "Hey Ron and crew, happy Friday. Let's go Phils." All right, cool, very very cool. Let's go Phils. I guess you're a fan. Thank you for taking some time to come and hang out in the live stream. I appreciate you. And then next up, we have Justin Judkins. He says, "How important is it to rotate fungicides as opposed to going the cheapest available route of propiconazole all year?" Yeah, I think it's pretty important, Justin, because what you can do is get you start to have disease resistance problems if you don't do that. A big reason why I'm such a big fan of combination fungicides like Headway, which has propiconazole and azoxystrobin, and Pillar, which is tritaconazole and pyraclostrobin, is that whenever you are controlling, say you have an active problem in your lawn, you have 2 modes of action that are going at it. So as far as clearing up problems quickly, it tends to be more effective. And because you're not hitting the lawn with the same fungicide over and over and over every year, it makes it more difficult for a disease for resistance to form. So I get it that some folks want to use propiconazole because it's inexpensive and just spray that all year. I mean, I guess you can do that, but you could quickly run into an issue where it just is no longer effective. Even if you want to get some azoxystrobin separately and mix them together and spray, you make your own Headway, your own concoction of Headway. Like I would prefer that than spraying just azoxystrobin all year long or just propiconazole all year long, which is why you notice at the golf course lawn store in our fungicide section, we don't offer either of them separately. We offer, if you want azoxystrobin or propiconazole, like get it in Headway because you have 2 modes of action. And if you want a liquid product, get Pillar SC because again, 2 modes of action. Because in my opinion, it's a better way to go. You're going to have less issues with resistance, and it's going to be more effective at controlling an active problem in the lawn. So it costs a bit more, but in my opinion, it works a lot better. And it's not just on my lawn. I get lots of feedback from folks that were fighting with disease problems in their lawn for a period of time, and they went to either Pillar or Headway, and they follow the instructions as far as for an active problem, apply, say today, and then 14, 21 days later, apply again. Make sure you water it after application, and then they're in good shape. Really, the one person that comes to mind that has had an issue, a constant issue with disease in his lawn, and he's an Academy member, and he is in Panama, and they just get he's an Academy member in Panama, so Central America, tons and tons and tons of rain, and he has a zoysia lawn. So zoysia, I mean, great, beautiful grass, but it's not one that likes like excessive moisture. And his property is very flat, so as far as draining well, just doesn't drain all that well, and he just is constantly fighting disease issues. That's really the only person that I've come across that where they were someone that had to rotate fairly regularly because they're just literally every month they're having to put out fungicide to try and keep this stuff under control. For most folks in the US, I mean, again, we've got thousands of customers on the golf course lawn store. normally Pillar SC or Headway does a good job clearing up whatever problem people are dealing with, as long as they apply it at the correct rates, they water in after application, and they do a follow-up app 14 to 21 days later. All right, so all that to say, Justin, that it's important. It's important, especially if you're doing like more than 2 apps in a back-to-back. That's when rotating, you absolutely want to do that. All right. Next up is Sovereign Designs. He says, do you ever use dual tips? I find it nice but curious. What do you think? I guess you're talking about like dual spray tips. No, I don't have any any like boom setups where I'm spraying using 2 spray tips at a time. I mean, there are people that do that. Like there are kits that folks will take and put into, they'll take like a spray tank and put it into like a I think it's like one of those big spreaders, like the Lesco spreaders. It's like something you drop in there, and then that will have like a wand that folds down. You've got like a spray boom that comes out, and you can, I think it's like 4 nozzles with that one. So if you're spraying a bigger property and you have a lot to cover, that would make sense. But in my case, I just use a single spray tip. Works well. All right, next up is Steven Wynn. He says, I don't have a sprayer yet. What are your thoughts on Granular PGR? I don't have any direct experience with them, Steven. I mean, I imagine they would work well, but I don't use Granular growth regulator on my lawn. I will tell you a couple of things. If you're using Granular growth regulator, for one, is quite a bit more expensive per application than the liquid route. And if you're doing it the way that I recommend, which is to apply the product at low rates or at half rate every 2 weeks, like that could get expensive pretty quickly. Versus if you're going with the liquid route, so you're using, do I have it here? Yeah, I do. If you're using like Primo, or if you're using a new EZ, then in that case, with liquid, your cost for applications tend to be a bit lower. And another big benefit of liquids is that if you're spraying other products, so in my case, when I'm spraying growth regulator, I'm also spraying my liquid fertilizer and my biostimulants along with it. So for me, and for most people, liquid growth regulator is a more convenient like medium for getting control, because you're for controlling growth, because you're also gives you the option to apply other products along with it at the same time. So I hope that helps. Again, if it were me, unless you're just really opposed to getting a sprayer, I absolutely would do one. I mean, most people, here's the thing. Most people that don't get a backpack sprayer are because they're intimidated with spraying liquid products, or intimidated by mixing them. And I'll tell you, the one thing you have to get right, and that will set you up for success when spraying liquid products on your lawn, is whenever you get your backpack sprayer, regardless of what it is, because when it comes to spraying products, it really is a case of the Indian. It's not really the Arrow. Now, I have my preference on backpack sprayers, but I mean, if you get one that you pick up at one of the big box stores, that can work well too. But the thing that you must do once you've got your setup, you've got the sprayer, you've got a fully charged battery, and you've got the spray tip you're going to be using, is to calibrate the sprayer. And by that, I mean measuring how much time it takes your particular sprayer at however it's set up with that particular spray nozzle to put out 1 gallon of water. 1 gallon of, we use water when we're testing it, we're calibrating it, but it will become 1 gallon of solution. So the reason why that's important is because whenever you're spraying products on your lawn, like say, we'll use Primo as an example, right? So for Primo Max, like if you are spraying Bermuda grass once per month, like the rate will be something like 1/4 of an ounce per 1,000 square feet, right? And you will use in general 1 gallon of water as carrier to put that 1/4 of an ounce of Primo out over 1,000 square feet. So the big thing that calibrating your sprayer allows you to figure out is what your walking pace needs to be able to put out 1 gallon of solution over 1,000 square feet. Once you solve that, once you've got that figured out, everything else is just easy math. It's easy. It's just measuring and basic math. You know what I mean? If you're spraying 1,000 square feet, you use the one, whatever the rate is, times 1. If you're doing 2,000 square feet, you're going to do 2 gallons of water, and whatever the rate is, times 2, and so on and so forth. So calibrating your sprayer is one of the most important things. If you do that, it's pretty, and you stick to the label rates, obviously. So stick to the rates that are on the that are on the label for the product you're applying. It's pretty hard to mess it up. So if you're looking for an option or one way of calibrating your sprayer, I've got a video that is literally 4 minutes long. It shows one way of doing it. It's not the only way to do it. but it's the way that is faster and, in my opinion, more accurate. And if you want to check that out, whenever you pick up your sprayer, if you follow that, read that, it applies to all sprayers, then you'll be in good shape and you can spray with confidence. So hope that helps, sir. And hope that helps. And again, I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you on granular PGRs. If you have a larger property, if you have a small lawn, they could be okay. But I mean, if you have a property of any size, you're going to come out a lot better using liquid growth regulator than you are with granular. All right. Next up is Alan Coleman. He says, at Steven, get that Yard Mastery sprayer on the Golf Course Lawn Store. Has everything you need to get going. Best I've used. Yeah. So what he's talking about is if you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, Steven, and you just search for sprayer, it will bring this guy up, right? And what he's talking about is, if you look here, you see right there, you've got the spray nozzle, the floodjet nozzle right there, just sitting there, just waiting, and the other one is attached to it. Spray nozzle sitting right there. And then if we go through it, you see you've got the assortments of tips. You've got the T-Jet spray tip, the foliar tip, and you've got the T-Jet floodjet tip. And an assortment of spray tips that you probably won't use on your lawn, but you have them anyway. Like ones you can use for insecticide, like spraying along borders and that kind of thing. But for the most part, you're not going to use these. You're going to use the white spray tip and you're going to use the red spray tip. So yeah, it comes with everything you need as far as that goes. The build quality is excellent. You know, my Yard Mastery sprayer is serial number 6, and it is still going strong. So if you're looking for a great option, you know, buy once, cry once. That is what I would recommend. All right, what up, No Fam? 24 is up here. He says, what's up, Ron? This is your hype man from Detroit. The weather is still above 70 degrees and my lawn is starting to go dormant. Any suggestions on keeping it green for the fall season? If it's going dormant, let it go dormant. And I'm assuming that you have a warm season lawn. I guess in Detroit that'd be odd, but maybe you have zoysia or something. When your lawn's starting to go dormant, I would not try and push a bunch of growth to get it to stay green. When it's trying to go dormant, let it go dormant. Like my lawn, it's already losing some of its color. Some of the color's coming out of it. I mean, if you look at the picture, I think I've got it here. So yeah, look at this picture. This was last week. I mean, you can see the color is not as nice as it was in the spring and summer months. The color is starting to, fade a bit. And that's completely fine because that's what it's supposed to do this time of year. So I really would not get out there and say, you know what, I'm going to fight it. I'm going to go and put out, 2 pounds of nitrogen, 2 pounds of straight urea. I'm going to push a bunch of growth and keep my lawn going. I would not do that. I wouldn't do that. So with it being October, if you have a warm season lawn like Bermuda, zoysia, St. Augustine, if you want to do a granular app for this month, that would be fine. But then I would shut it down as far as more granular nitrogen going into the lawn. Again, if you have a warm season lawn, if you have cool season turf grass, and you got a long period of time before you expect frost or snow, anything like that, you can continue feeding the lawn as long as you're mowing it. There's no problem with that at all. So what I'm talking about as far as letting it go dormant really applies to warm season turf grass. So if you got a cool season lawn, feed it, mow it, and then it's a good stem turf grass, good color is really just a byproduct of those activities. So hope that helps. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. But again, I would not try and push a bunch of growth if the lawn is trying to go dormant. It's trying to go dormant, let it do its thing. Big part of that, and we'll expound on the why. You might say, why can't I just push a bunch of growth? One of the big reasons why I am not a fan of doing granular nitrogen inputs on warm season turf grass really past October is if you do that, if you start putting a lot of nitrogen into, especially a warm season lawn like Bermuda, is you are setting yourself up for problems with disease next year. Like spring dead spot, like a big part of why I apply fungicide this year and why I limit how much nitrogen goes into the soil really from October forward is because if you push a lot of N in the soil, you can have issues with spring dead spot in the following year. So which is why limiting the amount of N and also applying a preventative fungicide is cheap insurance for setting yourself up for a great lawn next year. Because the thing is, regardless of what you do, even if you get up there and you put, you push a bunch of fast release nitrogen to try and get a bunch of growth, like you may get a little pop of green, but the lawn is still going to go dormant. It's pretty much a losing battle. And all you're doing is creating conditions where you're going to create a problem for yourself. So I would much rather allow the lawn to, lose some color maybe a week or two sooner and it go dormant maybe a week or two sooner, I will trade that for it coming out of dormancy, healthier, without disease next year, because that's really what you want, right? I mean, while the lawn staying green longer going in the fall is kind of nice, what's really cool is when everybody else's lawn is dormant and yours is the first one to green up without like a bunch of dead spots in it because you got spring dead spot ravaging it, right? So I say all that to say I really would not try and make the grass do something that it doesn't want to do, as far as, when it's time for it to go dormant, allow it to do so. All right, next up is Joseph Mitchell. It's always like, I thought it was also like Mitchell. I keep wanting to say Mitchell, like Jerry Mitchell. If any of you guys are into competitive shooting, you know who that is. If not, you don't. All right, next up, he says, new Bermuda sod is doing well. I have some brown spots and I plan to apply fungicide this weekend. How do you feel about leveling your lawn this time of year, or should I wait till spring? Depends on it's Bermuda sod. Yeah, so I really wouldn't do it this time of year, Joseph. Too late in the season, in my opinion. Leveling or top dressing new sod is okay, but it's better to do that, when you've got plenty of warm weather, plenty of hot weather ahead of you, so the grass can go through it. Your lawn is going to begin checking out here in the next, month or so. So I really want to get out there and do a top dress this time of year, because what we don't want to do is, one, stress a brand new lawn, especially when it's not getting plenty of heat, sunlight, longer, days of longer sunlight for it to grow through that. So no, I would not do it this time of year. I would wait until next spring. As far as timing goes, for most people that have warm season turf grass, late April, early May timeframe is a good time of year to target doing your top dressing. If you're a bit further south, like if you're, Houston area, along the Gulf Coast, if you're in Florida, you can maybe get by a bit sooner. But late April, early May is a good time to target doing, your lawn leveling work. By then, the lawn should be largely coming out of dormancy. Plenty of hot weather ahead of us. There's a time of year when it's weather's not too hot. You got plenty of rainfall to help, work the material into the soil profile. So just for a ton of reasons, I really wouldn't do it this time of year. I would wait till next year. I know you want that lawn. I know you want that golf course lawn look, but patience, just time. All right. Next up is TR Play says, are there drawbacks to using cheap hose and sprayer to apply all your products? Yeah, there's a lot of problems with doing that. Largely is that you're going to be putting, you're going to have problems with putting the products out at the correct rates. So if you are using a hose end sprayer, you tend to use a lot of water as the carrier, which is going to be a problem for foliar products like Primo Max, like a lot of the liquid fertilizers that we carry that are designed to be sprayed and just to lightly coat the leaf of the plant and to be allowed to dry. Hose end sprayers are okay for some fungicide products, some pre-emergent products, but for post-emergent herbicides, like for example, something like Celsius, I would not apply this using a hose end sprayer. You're either gonna grossly over or under apply the product, and given the amount of water you're putting out, a lot of it's going to be washed off the leaf where it needs to be and into the soil where it's not really going to do a whole lot for you. So yeah, hose end sprayers, I would avoid them for the products that we carry on the golf course lawn. So they're designed to be applied using a backpack sprayer. Outside of release 0 that you could do with a hose end sprayer, Nutrikelp, if you diluted it enough, you could probably get away with doing that with a hose end sprayer. But I mean, you notice we don't even have settings for them on the store, on the product descriptions, because we don't really recommend it. We recommend that you use a sprayer, whether it be a pump sprayer, handheld pump sprayer, or a backpack sprayer. That's a better choice for applying the liquid products that we carry on the store. Yeah, it's just, as far as just accuracy, you're going to be able to get a more accurate application, because you are, when you calibrate your backpack sprayer, what your walking pace needs to be for to put out a gallon of solution over 1,000 square feet, and the amount of carrier, meaning if you're trying to put out a gallon over 1,000 square feet, like you can actually do that with a backpack sprayer easier. With a hose end sprayer, it's a bit more challenging. You know what I mean? So you'll notice that very few professional grade product, which is what we largely carry out the golf course lawn store. Like what we carry are products that are used by the professional turf industry. Like they're not going to have settings for using a hose end sprayer for the most part. They're all going to assume you're using either a backpack sprayer, a handheld sprayer, or some kind of a large spray rig, but somewhere where you are using a calibrated method of putting the product out at the correct rates, mainly due to how concentrated all these products are. So hope that helps TR Play. Sorry I don't have better news for you, but yeah, no hose end sprayer for the majority of the products that we carry on the Golf Course Lawn Store. All right, next up is Dalen Krause. He says, have a great stream. I'll have to catch it on replay. I appreciate that. Dalen, thanks so much for coming to hang out. Next up, we got Brandon Henry. He says, hey, cousin, looking for a liquid iron product that will not stay in the driveway. Do you have any recommendations? I mean, the products that we carry, especially if you're playing with the rates that we recommend, don't tend to stain in the driveway. Like I spray, I'll show you really quickly. So if you go to shop and lawn fertilizer. So as far as products that contain iron that we on the Golf Course Lawn Store, so our 22-3 fertilizer, our micronutrient, both of those contain iron. The rates that we recommend that you spray them at, you don't tend to have problems with staining on your driveway. Like my lawn, I mean, I spray this stuff every couple of weeks during the growing season, and I don't really have issues with staining. It's really when you get into pure iron products, or products that are strictly iron, and you tend to be applying them at higher rates, is when you can tend to get into problems with staining. You know, we've not really gotten any negative feedback, not just from me, but other folks that use the our 22-3 liquid fertilizer or our micronutrient. You know, we don't get feedback as far as people having issues with it staining driveways or sidewalks, that type of thing, especially when you spray them at the rates that I recommend, which tend to be on the lower end of the application rate table, lower end of the rate card. So as long as you do that, you will be good to go. So I'll send you this, as you said, cousin Brandon. So any of these will be a good choice for you. Again, just stick to the lower end of the application rates. And for both those products, it's 6 ounces per 1,000. So 6 ounces in a gallon of water over 1,000 square feet. You're going to get great response, and you shouldn't have any staining in your driveway. And yeah, that rate will work just fine on your Kentucky bluegrass lawn. All right, Mars Bees from, I think, Tennessee, right? Central Tennessee. Says, happy Friday, everyone. What's going on, Mars Bees? Hopefully you're doing all right. Hopefully the storm didn't do anything to you. I mean, you're west of us, so you should be okay, I would think. But yeah, hopefully all is well in your world. All right, next up is Andre Taylor. He says, evening, Ron and lawn community. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you as well, Andre. And then Sizzler is chiming in on the question about leveling a warm season lawn. He says, level warm season grass in the early summer, not the fall. Yep. I mean, yeah, pretty much as far as leveling goes, Joseph, if you follow what I was recommending, right? So you start when the window for leveling your lawn opens, which in my opinion is around late April, early May, you can get really 3 full top dressings in a season if you do that. You could do a lawn leveling project in late April, early May. You could do another one in mid to late June, and if you wanted to, you could do yet a third one in late July, early August timeframe. So you could really level 3 times in a year if you wanted to. And for most people, that's going to get your lawn in a pretty good spot, right? Because the thing is, you want to do it when the grass, your lawn is actively growing, right? Because you're going to put that sand out and you want it to grow through it relatively quickly so that you don't have a bunch of washout and that you're not stressing the lawn as much. So waiting until late spring, early summer months for warm season turf grass is a great idea. Now, cool season lawn, sure. You want to level it this time of year? By all means, knock yourself out. You want to level it in the early spring, also knock yourself out. The only time when you would not want to level a cool season lawn would be during the summer months when it's really hot out. Not a great idea, because those types of grasses they're stressed. They're just trying to make it through the summer, and dumping a bunch of sand or compost or whatever you happen to be using on it that time of year is not a great idea. All right, so we have our first super chat of the evening. Let me see if I can go down here and grab that really quick. This one is from Mr. Luis Ayabareño. Thank you so much, Luis. Super chat received. He says, good evening, new job. So lawn not getting usual care. I still have a new container of the micros blend. If I don't use it, will it be okay in storage? Miss the streams. Don't know if you answered this. Great listening to the channel again. Awesome, Luis. Yeah, thanks so much for chiming in. Great question. And the answer is yes. As long as you keep the bottle nicely closed, it's nicely sealed, there's no problem at all. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I tested at the end of the season was I left, not even a bunch of it, I left maybe a quarter of a jug of both the 22-3 and the micronutrient in their respective containers over the winter months, and left them in the garage because I wanted to see, if I'd get any kind of separation or anything weird would happen when they were exposed to, cycles of cooler temperatures. Now, I mean, my garage is insulated, but it still gets to be like, freezing. It gets really cold in there. You won't want to hang out there during the winter months. And it was just fine. So to answer your question, as long as you are, it's in a relatively controlled, relatively insulated area, you're going to be just fine. Just make sure it's nicely sealed, and there should not be a problem with it when you break it out next spring. I mean, shake it up and you should be good to go. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. And for that, you are our show sponsor. So let me go ahead and get that done for you. Let me see, Mr. Luis Barreño.
Super chat received.
I got to hit you with your super chat received. And there you go. Your name in lights. Make sure I spelled it correctly. I think I did. Yep. For whatever that means to you. So thank you so much for all the love and support, sir. It really does mean a lot. And congrats on the new job. Hopefully it's a promotion, raise. You're making more money, doing more of what you enjoy doing, and hopefully gives you some time to also work on the lawn. So I appreciate the love and support. All right, next up is Reggie Zimmerman. He says, hey, Ron, hope all is well in Northeast. Almost a year into a new house. Congrats on the new house. Looks like the previous owners planted clover grass. What's the best way to replace it? You use a selective herbicide to kill it off and then put in whatever grass you want to have. So yeah, I mean, here's the thing, there are people that do that. They are, because clover does have benefits, right? As far as like for the soil and that kind of thing, there are some benefits to clover, but it's not the most appealing of turf to have in your lawn, in my opinion. So if you're looking to get rid of the clover, what I'd say is if it's all clover and you're looking to do a renovation, on the cheap route, you could use glyphosate to kill it off. If you wanted to go a selective route, you could go with a three-way. You could go like with a three-way like Triad or with or Tenacity. That will work as well too. And then sod, install whatever new sod you want to have. So whatever grass type is your fancy, you could install that. So the steps would be eliminate the existing, get rid of the clover, and then sod with whatever grass you want. So if you decide to go the Tenacity route, you can go with this, Reggie. And if you decide to go the three-way route, then you can go with this guy. But yeah, I mean, I would treat it like I would treat any other grass. Like if you came to me and said, hey, I've got fescue, and I want to get rid of it, and I want to go to Kentucky bluegrass, I want to do a renovation, I'd treat it the same way. Essentially, you would treat the clover as a weed, use a product that is labeled to control it, and get rid of it, and then go through all your steps for establishing a new lawn. All right, great question, sir. All right, next up we see, he says, just under the chat, I have zoysia. Is it too late to apply a fungicide even though I see no signs? No, it's not too late to apply one. So what I recommend, Sizzler, and this is reflected really on our lawn care schedule. So I can walk you through that really quick. So if you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, you go to shop, you go to resources, and you go to lawn care schedule, and then you pick option 5, which is a monthly application schedule. And what you're gonna see in this schedule is it's gonna show 2 periods of the year when I recommend that you apply fungicides, ideally preventatively, right? So in the early spring, the early summer, late spring, early summer months, May, you would do your first application of either Headway G or Pillar SC, and then in June, same thing, Pillar SC or Headway G, and then you're done for the most part with fungicide. Done with fungicide until you get to October, November, and you would do Pillar SC and Headway, and then again in November, Pillar SC or Headway G. Reason for this is the following. While you can wait until there's a disease problem in your lawn, a couple of things is if you do that, one, you're behind the curve, And then second is it takes a while for the lawn to recover or heal from the damage associated with a lawn disease problem. So it's better just to kind of prevent it. You know what I mean? Kind of like you could wait until you see damage from grubs or armyworms in your lawn to put out like a celloprint to take care of them. You could do that, but really you're behind the curve and the damage is going to be there, and you're going to be staring at, damage in your lawn. If you're lucky, for only a few weeks. In some cases, more extreme, it could be a month or more. So to kind of drive the point home, why I'm a fan of preventative fungicide is if we go to the product description for Headway. So let me if I can pull this up. If you go to that one, which is right here, right? If you look at this was actually taken on my lawn several years ago. I think it was in 2021 is when this happened, right? So if you look at large patch, I think this was in April, late April timeframe is when this was showing up, right? So you see that I identified the problem, I put out Headway, and it's not like it reverses. You can't just Thanos snap and then you apply the fungicide and the lawn goes back to looking awesome. 2 weeks later, if you look really carefully, so you can see the ring, if you look really carefully 2 weeks later, you can still kind of make out, if you look there, you can still kind of make out where it is. So the reason why I'm a big fan of preventative fungicide apps is because most people do not want to have to stare at an ugly spot in their lawn for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. And preventative fungicide is a great way to prevent that from being a problem, especially on highly maintained turf. So if you're someone that watches a live stream on turf grass, meaning you really care about your lawn, you want it to look its best year round, you're out there mowing it a couple times per week. The benefit to mowing your lawn regularly, a couple times a week, is that it looks incredible. The negative to doing that is you're injuring it more regularly, right? So the chances of you having problems with disease is increased. So that's why preventative fungicide, in my opinion, May, June timeframe, because that is when, coming out of the winter months, out of the early spring months, we're starting to get some temperature. It tends to be a wetter time of the year, and the conditions are such that if you are going to have a disease problem in your lawn, that is when it's most likely to show up, most likely to manifest itself. And then in the fall, same type of thing. Weather is cooling off. We're getting a lot of rain, more moisture. If you're trying to, prevent diseases like snow mold, or in my case, you're trying to prevent diseases like spring dead spot, now is a good time to put out a preventative fungicide app, because really, once you see the damage from the disease, you apply the fungicide. It's just a waiting game. Kind of like when you see insect damage. If you see insect damage, you can apply an insecticide, but then it's just a waiting game. You have to wait for the lawn to recover over time from the damage that the disease caused. So, you look at like even golf courses with greens, like they spray fungicides monthly. Forget this spring and a fall thing. Like every month they're putting fungicides on the green, because greens get cut every day on some courses, twice per day, depending if they have a tournament or not. So you're talking about turf that is highly stressed, it's being mowed very regularly, and just as a chance of just as far as taking steps to help prevent disease problems in your lawn, fungicide is a great tool for doing that. Part of why the program that we built that includes the carbon kit includes products like microbial food like Biospectrum, is because of the fact that I recommend that people use fungicides in the spring and the fall. Because the one negative to I say to fungicides, is that they are harder on the microbial activity in the soil. So by using, the reason why we put this together with in cooperation with the folks at Miramichi Green, while we built the carbon kit, and we purposely included this guy, Biospectrum, is it helps restore that. So whereas fungicide can be hard on the beneficial bacteria and fungi in the soil, Biospectrum will help restore that. So it's all a system. You know what I mean? So it's when you look at like what you see as far as our schedule on the store, as far as the product application schedule and the different products that I recommend, it's not just kind of just thrown together hodgepodge because I just figured, hey, this sounds good and it should produce a good result. Like there's actually a method to why the products are applied when they're applied, and then the ones that you use regularly, which, like for example the carbon kit like Biospectrum, why those are also in that as well, so that the entire system works really well together. And again, the folks that follow it get incredible results. So overall, to answer your question, yes, there is benefits to applying fungicide, even though you see no disease issues in your lawn, and it is not too late to do it this time of year. So, but hopefully I have to give you the why behind it. 'Cause I could have just told you, no, it's not too late to apply. Doesn't really matter that you don't see disease in your lawn, but it's better to explain the why behind it. Cause then you're going to be, you'll understand it. And you won't just following me on blind faith. You'll understand like the reason why I say what I say. All right, Colin is up next. C. Pims is in the live stream. He says, "What's up, Ron? Hope your Friday has been well." Can't complain. Can't complain. You know, it's not the best Friday in the world, not the worst Friday in the world. Overall, not bad. He's got a different question for you. Any advice on or input on what to use to deter rabbits? They're showing up in my front yard at night or early morning. Okay, so I did have an issue with rabbits on my lawn, and they wouldn't necessarily eat stuff, but they would just go and they just poop and leave like little piles of rabbit poop on the lawn, which is kind of unsightly, kind of gross, right? And what it was is they were living in the shrubs that were next to the house. So what I did is this year I did a better job. You guys know I love mowing grass. Don't really like edging the lawn that much, but I really hate working on shrubs. Really detest like having to do shrub work because it's a pain, makes a mess. There's a lot of work to clean it all up. But this year, I made a conscious effort to keep the shrubs more maintained, making them less thick and bushy, so it's less appealing for the rabbits, right? Because they want a place where they can go in there and hide and just kind of relax, live their best life, do whatever rabbits do, stay away from predators, avoid predators. So if you can reduce like spaces where they will feel safe, meaning if you make your lawn less appealing from a standpoint of like having heavy shrubs and areas like that in your lawn, that will make them, I mean, hopefully that will help them move on. Also having pets, dogs will will also help with that. But again, your dog would have to be outside, would have to be outside a lot during the time when they're on the lawn, which to your point, and it tends to be late evening or early morning. Yeah, so those are the main things that I can think of. I don't know of any like additives or products you can apply that are going to help keep them away. In my case, just making the area less appealing where they felt more threatened because it was like just thinner, not a place for them to hide, made them move on somewhere else. So you could give that a shot and see if that helps, Colin. So it worked well for me. All right, Reggie Zimmerman is up next. He says, also, I did a dethatch at the end of August. I went a little hard before getting the right setting. I exposed a muddy spot where the grass hasn't grown back yet. I overseeded, but nothing has grown in yet. Yeah, so it's just going to be a time thing, Reggie. So dethatching, not to get on my soapbox, I'm going to get on my soapbox here a little bit, is that most lawns do not really need to be dethatched. If you want to turf rake them, which is like a turf rake, power rake, like if you want to lightly rake the lawn to get material and dead debris, loose material out of the lawn, that's okay. But dethatchers, in my opinion, on most lawns just tend to do a lot more harm than good. So I don't have a better answer for you. It's really just going to be a waiting game at this point. Just give it time. You already did the right things. You overseeded the bare spot. Just give it time. The grass will grow in there eventually. And then for next year, I would avoid dethatching altogether. If you want a power rake, okay, but I would avoid dethatching. For most lawns, it's just far too aggressive and just doesn't really serve any real benefit, in my opinion. So I hope that helps. Again, if you got a lawn that's like 10 years old, been neglected, it's like compacted and matted down, and in that case, yeah, if you want to dethatch it, that could be good. But really, you'd only do that once, and then you would transition to turf raking and verticutting. So yeah, don't in your opinion, in your case, it's just going to be a time thing at this point. And he says, any tips? Thanks so much, sir. You're the best. You are very welcome. And yeah, hopefully you find that useful. Probably not the best news for you, but it will recover. But going forward, we won't do that again. All right. Colin says, definitely chewing some grass. I notice. I hear you. I mean, yeah, they are difficult. They are bad. I mean, you could bring old Elmer Fudd in with a shotgun. That could work too. Your neighbors might not like it too much, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, there might be traps you can use or that type of thing, or there's other maybe products you can apply that will deter them. I've just never really looked into that because for me, I said, oh, you guys like hanging out in the shrubs. I will just make sure the shrubs they stay nicely maintained. And then they're like, okay, we don't like this anymore. He's like making our nice tree house like be a bit too exposed, and they went off somewhere else, which is good. All right, next up is True Gator Fan. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron. Thanks for looking at my soil test results. I post-test, I put down limes at 40 pounds per thousand for the low pH and a 7020 on 921. Should I do another fertilizer app this month or no? When did you do the fertilizer application? So if you did the fertilizer application in September, so like say early September, and you want to do one now, yeah, I'd be fine with that. You could do one more this year and then call it good. And then 40 pounds of lime per thousand, that's good, man. That's really, whenever folks have low pH, what I tell them is, anywhere between 20 to 40 pounds per thousand, that's a good number, a good range as far as addressing or amending low pH levels. You went to the higher end of that, which is just fine. Hopefully you watered it in well. And what you should see is if you do another soil test 3 months from now, so like February-ish timeframe, you should see a movement in the soil pH levels due to the lime that you just put down. So great work. Great work getting a soil test done, and great work addressing the problem based on your soil test results. So I like it overall. Good job. And guys, if you guys are enjoying the live stream, we're about an hour and a half in. We got 103 people in the live stream, only 76 likes. So if any of you guys have just, you recently joined the show, I know you're enjoying yourself. You got your beverage of choice, sitting back, listening to some good turf talk. If you guys would not mind hitting that like button ever so gently, I would really appreciate it. Costs absolutely nothing. It's a free way to support the channel. Sends good vibes to YouTube and gets more folks coming over, even though it is fall and it's time starting to quiet down. All the more reason to like and or subscribe to the channel. It really does help. Free way to support us. All right, Alejandro Ortiz says, have you had any fire ant mounds appear in your lawn recently? What's your insecticide program look like? Great question, Alejandro. So I did have a fire ant mound appear between my neighbor, like right at the fence line between my lawn and my neighbor's lawn. Their grass is a bit higher, and yeah, right there where it's really like high and bushy, that's where some ant mounds some fire ant mounds have appeared. What I use for that, for fire ants in particular, is a product called Advion fire ant bait. Really good product, very effective. I learned about it years ago, probably 2018 or so. And I've stuck with it. It's been a great product. So if you're trying to get rid of fire ants, I'll tell you what I would, this is what I would go with. I'll show you real quick here. I'll link it here in the chat for you. This will be your jam. This will solve your fire ant problems. Now, as far as insecticide goes, like my insecticide program, I tend to apply insecticide twice throughout the year. So in the springtime, so like late March, early April timeframe, I will apply acelepryn primarily for controlling grubs in the lawn, and then and then later on in the summer, so like late July, early August timeframe, I will apply acelepryn again. That's mainly for armyworms. So Advion fire ant bait. This is the product for fire ants. Fire ant bait. There you go. And then as far as my insecticide program, I'll actually show you because it's documented on the Golf Course Lawn Store. So again, you go to where you can find this is resources, lawn care schedule, and a monthly application schedule. What you'll find is if you go to April, it will show for spring insecticide acelepryn SC, which is this guy here, which is what I use, the liquid suspension concentrate of acelepryn, or acelepryn G. And then if you move down to August, you will see another application of acelepryn SC or acelepryn G. This is the insecticide that I use. I mean, there are tons of them out there. The reason why I like acelepryn is that it controls, as far as pretty much any common lawn damaging insect, like your grubs, bluegrass weevils, bill bugs, pretty much any kind of turf caterpillar, so sod webworms, army worms, this guy will control them, all while being relatively eco-friendly. So, there's a lot of insecticide options, but a lot of them will be harmful for earthworms, invertebrates like earthworms, and also pollinators. Whereas the active ingredient that's in acelepryn, which is chlorantraniliprole, is as far as being gentler, being milder on invertebrates or pollinators, that's one of the benefits to it. So this is the insecticide that I use. This is the only one that I use on my lawn, again, once in April and then again in August, and it does a great job of keeping grubs at bay and also keeping armyworms at bay later on in the season. And if you want that program with links to the products and everything, you can see that right here. I'll link it here in the chat for you. This is the lawn care program, and again, it's not just that I follow. Like tons of people all around the country follow this and get great results. All right, there you go. All right, so next up we have Emmanuel Jacobs. He says, hey Ron, I plan on using my brand new backpack sprayer soon. I want to spray prodiamine, Celsius, iron, and put down a 12 granular fertilizer. In which order should I apply these products? Great question, Emmanuel. So what I would do, if it were I would do the granular products first. So if you're going to put out a 10, I would put that out first. And then it depends on what your goals are. Really, everything else you're going to pretty much want to spray separately. So prodiamine, you're going to be blanket spraying the lawn with that because that's your pre-emergent. So you want to cover the entire lawn with that. Celsius, unless your entire lawn is covered in weeds, I really don't recommend that you blanket spray it. Like you use it just to spray, the areas where you have weeds in the lawn, so you would spot spray it. So it really wouldn't be a good idea to mix Celsius along with prodiamine. And then iron, that's also another blanket spray type product, but I'm not sure what iron product you're talking about, but if you're talking about a foliar uptake style iron product like what we carry in our liquid fertilizer or liquid micronutrient, then that's another one I would not mix that with prodiamine. You know what I mean? So really, you would do the fertilizer first. What I would do is this: I would do the granular fertilizer first. They say tomorrow morning. You could do that, and then you could spray the entire lawn. Again, I'm assuming you're blanket spraying. You could blanket spray the entire lawn with whatever iron product it is that you're using, micronutrient or whatever that happens to be. Then after that, you could come back and spot spray with Celsius, the areas that you have that with that you're trying to control the weeds. And then the following day, what I would do is put out your pre-emergent. Then you blanket spray the entire lawn with prodiamine and water it in. Reason being is that Celsius is a post-emergent herbicide and it works by foliar uptake. So you really don't want to run an irrigation cycle right after applying Celsius. You really want to apply that and allow it to dry and work. So if you apply it, like say tomorrow, and let it sit until the following day when you run your irrigation, that would be okay. So really you're talking about 4 different applications. So you're doing the granular by itself, which that's fine. Then again, I would blanket spray your liquid fertilizer, your iron product, whatever it happens to be. I would do that, spot spray Celsius, and then you're done for tomorrow. And then I guess the following day would be Sunday. Then Sunday you would spray prodiamine and then water it all in, and then you're good to go. You'd water in your fertilizer and water in prodiamine at the same time. The reason why you give it a day, again, between the Celsius application and then your pre-emergent and watering in the fertilizer is because you want to give that Celsius adequate time to dry on the leaf of the plant that you're targeting. So hope that helps, sir. It's a good question. As far as another short video that I can tell you, because if you have other products that you might be spraying, I covered this in a short that is literally like it's 1 minute, and it was titled like what order to spray lawn care products in. And here's a general rule that, and I think it just makes sense when I explain it to you. Pretty much anything with side in the name, so you're spraying fungicide, herbicide, insecticide, anything with side in it, i.e. to kill, you spray that last. Apply that stuff last, because it wouldn't make sense. Like while you could go out and put out pre-emergent first, and then go out and walk the entire lawn and put out your fertilizer afterwards. I mean, why walk around in the lawn where you just cover the entire lawn with herbicide? You know what I mean? So like do any of the fungicide, insecticide, herbicides, do that stuff last. Like do anything with side in it, bias that towards the end of your applications. And I cover that in this video where I think it was from like either last year or the year before, where I was doing a bunch of fertilizer sprays, and I was also planning on applying, I think it was a celiprin, so my insecticide, and I talk about that in less than a minute, so a bit more succinct than I am being right now. So if you want to watch that, this video right here, what order to apply products, will be useful. Again, it's only a minute of your time, and I think you'll get some value out of it. All right, next up is Mr. Terrence Stamps. He says, hello, Ron and fellow lawn enthusiasts. Hope everyone has had a good week. Appreciate that, Terrence. And then the Trilla from Manila, 2 Trillas in the house. He says, hey, Ron, happy Friday. Everyone, I hate to see the season end, but I must admit I do enjoy the break. You and me both, man. I am enjoying it. You know, this time of year, football season, and, my fantasy league is doing kind of okay. We'll see how it works out this week. A bunch of my guys are on bye, so we'll see. But yeah, it is nice to, like, the mowing cadence to slow down a little bit, and it's nice to just slow down a little bit and take some time off and enjoy the break. It is kind of cool. All right, next up is Victor Stamps. He says, Ron, thanks for the pro tip. Michael Hammonds for the win, shipping the out Sterling 51, 10, and 6-blade reels in the morning. He thinks sharpening will help and will adjust the blade to bed knife. Nice. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, so he's done work for me in the past. Victor, I know he's a busy guy, so I wasn't sure if he was still doing that type of work, but he has done the grind on my outlets, my C27, and it was awesome. Look, cut like a knife through butter. Awesome job. So I think you'll be very happy with it, especially this time of year. The season is slowing down. He should be able to get you all squared away, and I'm glad that that worked out for you. So good stuff. All right, so we have a let's see here. Next up, we have Max Allen Greenskeeper. He says, please discuss tactics to combat winter kill. Hope Helene didn't hit you too hard. Yeah, for the most part, first of all, thank you for the super chat. For the most part, it didn't hit us. It went east, so South Carolina, North Carolina got it a lot worse. Augusta got it a lot worse. Pretty much everything east of us got it a lot worse than we did. Yeah, so as far as winter kill, Max, if you can reduce this is a small thing, but if you can reduce the height of cut a little bit, just slightly going into the winter, that's going to help. Fungicide applications will help. But again, some of the problems you're going to realize is also just going to be based on how much snow you get. Like if you are like Devin, who's in Colorado Springs, where it'll start snowing and the ground will be covered in snow for months, it's not uncommon for you to have some damage. Like there's only so much, like the prep work that you do ahead of time, short of like covering the greens, is really going to do. You know what I mean? So reducing the height of cut a little bit can help. Fungicides can help with helping prevent some winter diseases like your snow mold. But a lot of it just depends on where in the country you are and how much snow you have, like, and how long that snow, how long it sticks around. So sorry, I don't have a better answer for you. I'll ping Devin and see what other ideas he has. I know in their case, they just do a really diligent job of covering the greens. That's the thing they really try and protect during the winter months. But for most people, covering their lawns during the winter isn't something that is practical. So, it just depends, I guess, on how much resources you have, how much you really want to prevent damage, and also just, again, big factor is what the weather is like, how much snow you get, and how long it sticks around where you are. I want to say you're in Texas somewhere, right? So you shouldn't have too much. I wouldn't say imagine you'd have too much issues with it. I wouldn't think. So if I remember correctly, I think you're in mid Texas somewhere. But if that's you, I wouldn't think you'd have experienced a lot of issues. A lot of folks that live, Chicago, upstate, like in the Northeast, Colorado, they tend to have a lot of problems. Because not only do they get a lot of precipitation as far as snow, but it stays really cold for extended periods of time, which just causes eventually damage to the lawn, to the turf grass. All right. So again, thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. If any other comments or questions, feel free to let me know. It's a good one. And hopefully, I think given that you're in Texas, hopefully you don't have to deal with that too much. All right. Next up is Juan. He says, hey, Ron, I overseeded last month. For the most part, it was very successful, but there are some parts that didn't grow in due to moss and hard soil. What can I do to improve it? Okay, so if you have a compacted lawn, Juan, the best thing to do with that is to do aeration, like hollow tine aeration. So either you get an aerator, you rent one from the big box stores and use that to help break up the compaction. That's going to help. Or in cases where it's highly compacted, you may have to, hire a service where they have like a ride-on aerator, like a more heavy-duty unit that's going to do a better job penetrating the soil. Like that's going to be your best bet as far as relieving compaction in soil. Now, as far as moss goes, moss tends to be a problem when you have a couple of factors. When you have a soil that's more acidic, so do a soil test to make sure your soil is not really acidic. And then two other factors, areas that suffer from poor drainage and areas that are heavily shaded. So if you have a part of your lawn that does not get a lot of sunlight, and whenever it rains, that area tends to stay damp for a long period of time, and you also couple with a potentially like more acidic soil, all those conditions tend to create, the scenario where moss can be more of a problem. The reason why I'm focusing so much on answering your questions by discussing the conditions that cause moss to be a problem is because if you go out there and use some of these curative products, like I think Scott's makes a product, Moss X, that will knock back moss, but you don't actually fix the conditions that are causing the problem. So say you have a heavily shaded area, lots and water just sits there, for extended periods of time, doesn't drain well. Yes, you can use a product to kill off what you see, in front of you now, but it's just going to come back. So a better way is to say, okay, this area doesn't get a lot of sunlight. What can I do to get more sunlight here? Can I, raise the canopy? Can I cut the foliage back a little bit so I get more sunlight? Or if it doesn't drain well, can I do a top dresser, install some kind of drainage to help get water away from this area so that the soil, doesn't stay quite so damp? If it's, very acidic, can I do a lime application to get that pH up? So again, and by doing all that, you're creating all the conditions where it is less good for moss to become a problem. So that is what I would focus on. We have a blog post on the topic of moss, on controlling moss in your lawn, and pretty much it says what I just told you. But if you're interested in reading that, you want a quick read, I'll link it here in the chat as well for you. How to get rid of moss in your lawn. This was an older one we wrote a couple years ago, but still timely. The advice still stands, still good. All right, so there you go, Juan. You can take a look at that, and hope that helps, man. I mean, it's like most problems in your lawn, it is best to treat the conditions that cause the problem more so than treating it after the fact. Like that's why insecticide, great preventative control versus treating it after the fact. Fungicides, great control versus treating diseases after the fact. Regular mowing, good nutrient program, great control, great natural control against weeds versus allowing your lawn to get, weeds to take root in your lawn and treating it after the fact with post-emergent herbicides. I mean, that can work. There is a place for those products, but whenever you can create conditions where it is less, less desirable, less efficient for a weed to grow or a disease to develop or an insect problem to take root, like that is a better way to go, in my opinion, versus waiting for the problem to be there and then try and fix it after the fact. And moss is no different. Okay, Jonathan Cambrado is up next. He says, an armadillo is tearing up the neighborhood lawn. So he's just one, huh? You guys got a wanted sign out for him. He says, not mine. No grubs for him to eat. So he searches and digs elsewhere. A cellar print is working well for me. I'll buy more when I run out. Thanks. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Jonathan. Glad to hear that cellar print's, creating, again, case in point, right? So armadillo is looking for food. If you remove one of their common food sources, so grubs, other lawn damaging insects, where your lawn doesn't have a lot of that stuff in it, it's less desirable and they just go somewhere else. You know what I mean? So makes a lot of sense. Good job, Jonathan. Glad it's working well for you. And fingers crossed that the armadillo stays away. Like armadillos, moles, they are awful. Fun, not so much fun fact. I'm having a mole issue, again, not in my lawn, but in the mulch beds, because I sprayed a celloprene insecticides throughout the lawn, but not in the mulch beds. And the front mulch bed, there's one right there. So I got some traps in there. I got something for him. I got that work waiting for him. I'm just waiting to go out in the morning. I moved them there this morning, so hopefully tomorrow morning, I'll get that click, and I'll have removed him from my property. We'll see. So I mean, it's only going to end one way. It's only going to end one way. He can decide. I mean, he's going to leave. He's going to leave on his own accord, or he's going to leave on my accord. And it's better if he does it his way. But whatever. Some folks got to learn the hard way. All right. Next up is Terrence. He says, Ron, I just realized I have a question. Over the last few weeks, the squirrels have torn up my lawn. They dig holes in the turf, And in my flower beds, any non-harmful ways of getting rid of them? Not that I'm aware of. Everyone that I know that gets rid of squirrels or keeps them out of their lawn, they either have pets that will chase and or kill them, like cats or ones that will actually go after squirrels, or again other ways of getting rid of them. But all the ways that I'm aware of are the squirrels are not a fan of it. I'll put it that way. So no, I guess you could try calling a service. Maybe they have traps or they have baits that they can use or things they can put out to help make your area your lawn less appealing, so they'll stop digging and making a mess. But nothing off the top of my head, man. Unfortunately, everyone I know that has a squirrel, they have a cat or they get a cat and that tends to fix the problem, or they have like a pellet gun that also tends to fix the problem. But again, both of those are pretty permanent approaches to getting rid of the squirrels. All right. Hailed Demon is up. He says, I did a soil test and nitrogen is low, iron is low, everything else was optimal to high. Should I try to correct it this season or wait till spring to retest and decide then? Yeah, I would wait until next season. Yeah, because it's a time of year where I really wouldn't push a lot of nitrogen in warm season lawn anyway. And then your iron, you can always address that next year with a micronutrient if you want to in the springtime. So yeah, in the fall is not when I would look to correct that type of problem. So hope that helps, sir. Sorry dealing with it, but that should be an easy fix early next year. Tom Hoffenkamp is in the house. He says, oh, it's Friday. Happy lawn talk, y'all. Ron, regarding spring dead spot, if you overseed perennial ryegrass, do I all the way to March with no fertilizer? I'm not sure what you're saying. Are you saying, do I go all the way to March with no fertilizer? No, I would still. So that's a good question. Robert, who overseeded his lawn last year, I believe he continued to feed his overseeded ryegrass lawn throughout the winter months. So yes, if you are overseeding, and so in other words, if you have grass that is actively growing, so it's consuming in the N, then that's less of a problem than you're going out there, like what a lot of people tend to do and they end up with spring dead spot, is they're trying to push a lot of growth in Bermuda that's trying to go dormant, and they build up a bunch of nitrogen that just sits in the soil and is not being used and creates a problem. That's when you start to have issues with spring dead spot. So if you are overseeding, I'm less concerned about that than if you were just if you just had if your lawn were going dormant and you were trying to push a bunch of growth in the fall. So you should be okay. Again, like as always, a little bit goes a long way. If you can limit your nitrogen inputs to 0.5 pound of nitrogen per 1,000 when you're doing granular and get the rest from liquid, that's also good insurance as far as not putting too much N into the soil. So hope that helps, Tom. Keep me posted as far as how well it goes. Like, again, Robert's lawn last year looked incredible throughout the fall and in the early spring, and he didn't have any issues with spring dead spot this season that I'm aware of. So yeah, he should be good to go. All right, Hill Green says, hey Ron, should I or is it a good thing to top dress my lawn in October/fall season? Cheers. What kind of grass do you have? So it depends on what kind of grass you have. If it's warm season grass like Bermuda, zoysia, no, I wouldn't recommend it. If it's a cool season lawn, rye, fescue, Kentucky bluegrass, August really into like early October, sure. If those grasses are starting to actively grow and wake up and do well this time of year. So if you want to do a light top dress in the fall, that would be fine. But for Bermuda, zoysia, I would not recommend it this time of year. All right, so hope that helps. Great question, Hill Green. But I mean, without knowing what kind of grass you have, I had to give you an answer for both because unfortunately, the best answer to that question is it depends. What kind of grass do you have? All right. Killer Clips says, Dear Ron, I have a weird grass growing randomly in my St. Augustine lawn. I brought a sample down to my local ag office and they had no idea what it was. I'm in East Texas. Okay. When I Google search this grass, it comes up as Cypress gracilis. Have you ever heard of this? And how do I get rid of it? No, I've not heard of it. I will, I'm actually I'll take a screenshot of this and I'll have to do some research after the show is over. I don't know what that is. And I'll have to do some digging. So no, I unfortunately, I don't know, Killer Clips on that one. But I'll do some digging. And if you want to send me an email, out here, Ron at golfcourselawn.com. I'll let you know what I find out, and we can figure out if there's a way to get rid of it. So yeah, if your local extension office doesn't know, then so that's an interesting one. Do your neighbors have it too? Is it just your lawn, or are there a bunch of other lawns in your neighborhood that have the same problem? Let me Cypress. Let's care. Let's see what the Google says about it. Slender, yeah, it says slender flat sedge, or I wonder, yeah, if it's a sedge, certainty would probably knock it out, because it's pretty good against sedges. Yeah, I'd have to do some more digging, man. I'm not sure. I'll do some digging as far as what herbicide is effective selectively, ideally for it. You know what I mean? So I mean, when you're saying Augustine, I don't. I'm tempted to think a selective herbicide like Celsius or Certainty would be the way you want to go, but I don't know if either of them are effective against that particular weed. So I'll have to do some more digging for you, and let you know what I find out. All right. Next up, we have Kyle Freeman. Let's see here. He says, people on YouTube speak about nutrients and whatnot for creating a healthy lawn. I notice you have insecticides on the store. Unless I didn't see that correctly. I do. Are insecticides important? They are, because while nutrients, like your nitrogen, your phosphorus, potassium, your micronutrients, while they are important for creating healthy soil, which is by as a byproduct is going to produce an excellent, beautiful stand of turf grass. Soil nutrient isn't the only thing that that can negatively, or lack of nutrient isn't the only thing that can lead to a negative result in your lawn. For example, there are some insects like grubs, armyworms that will eat the foliage. Grubs will eat at the root system and will kill your grass. Armyworms will eat at the existing foliage above the above that's grown out. So they are all insects that will feed on your lawn. So while they are not tricky, you don't need a fertilizer to take care of them. They can damage your lawn, so an insecticide is appropriate. So that's why in the schedule, there's a couple times throughout the year that we recommend an insecticide application, because that is the opportune time to prevent the lawn damaging insects, the most common ones like grubs, and then turf caterpillars like armyworms from damaging your lawn. So they are an important aspect of a lawn care program, and in many ways, I'd say they're more important than, say, fungicides, because fungicide, lawn disease can hit any lawn, but on highly maintained turf is when you will see you tend to be, you're creating conditions where it can be more of a problem. Whereas, insect damage can really hit any lawn. It can be a lawn that's mowed once every couple of weeks, or a lawn that's mowed twice per week, 3 times per week, can still also suffer from damage, can be targeted by insects and damaged by them. So I'd say insecticide is probably more applicable and broad reaching for more people than even fungicides are. And I think they're an important part of a good lawn care program, because again, if you wait until you see the damage from insects, you can apply an insecticide at that point, but the damage has already been done. And then it's just a waiting game that could be several weeks or months, depending on the extent of the damage, for the lawn to recover from it. So it's an important part of a program, in my opinion. All right, Mars B says, we had a week of moderate rain in Middle Tennessee, no major problems except delayed my seeding projects. LOL. Well, hey man, look at the bright side. At least you got like some nice moist soil. You put your seed in, so hopefully you got good germination from the grass seed once you did get out there and put your grass seed down, right? Which is awesome. All right, Rachel Stowers says, hey Ron, my stepdad loves your videos and we're watching you right now. Could you say hi, Greg? Thank you. Absolutely. Greg, thank you so much for being a viewer. And here's the thing. I will tell you, as a stepdad, as a parent, an important thing is, transferring important skill sets, good traits to kids. And the fact that you have your daughter here watching the live stream along with you, I'd say you've done a great job. Rachel, great job for, commenting. And again, Greg, thank you so much for being a viewer. I really do appreciate you a whole lot. Hopefully you guys get some value out of it and your lawns look awesome. And if they don't look awesome yet, that you're going to learn enough to be able to make your lawns look the talk and the envy of your neighborhood. So again, appreciate having you guys as a subscriber and as a viewer. And if I can help with anything, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, next up is Rhett to Play. He says, in Georgia, I noticed brown patch fungus in zoysia in July, but went on an extended vacation. It looks like to be spreading slowly to other areas. Is it too late to treat with fungicide in October? It is not too late, Rhett to Play. So here's the thing, it's a great example, and you kind of teed this up for me. A big part of why I recommend fungicide preventatively in May and in June, because if you do that, you reduce the chances dramatically that in July, you're going to have issues with like brown patch, large patch in your zoysia or Bermuda lawn. And to answer your question, as far as applying fungicide now, this is the second time of year when I think it makes a lot of sense. So October and November are also a good time of year to apply preventative fungicide. If you've got some disease in your lawn, I absolutely would put a fungicide out to take care of it. Now, in your case, you're going to do something slightly different, right? Because whereas if you didn't have anything bad going on and you're just trying to do it from a preventative perspective, you could simply do an application at the beginning of this month and then another one in November. Because you've got an active problem, you would do, say, an app, looks like we get ThanosSnap, and we could deliver some fungicide to you tomorrow. You'd go out and put some out tomorrow, and then 14 to 21 days later, you're going to apply it again, regardless of how the lawn looks. Even though you put the fungicide out and maybe it was, your lawn, you have a zoysia lawn that grows really quickly and it recovered really quickly and nicely, you still want to do another app 14 to 21 days later. Think of it like this. Whenever you you go to the doctor, you may have like a sore throat or something and they give you antibiotics. What do they always say? They say, hey, take the entire course regardless of how you feel. Because in most cases, if you have like a really bad sore throat, I used to get them really badly when I was younger. You take, amoxicillin, you take whatever antibiotics you're taking. After like day 2 or 3, you actually start feeling pretty good. But they still want you to take the entire course to make sure that you don't have a relapse, that it doesn't come back even worse and potentially resistant to the antibiotics. So with fungicides, if you get an active problem, do an application. 14 to 21 days later, regardless of how the lawn is looking, do another application. And then if you're seeing good progress, the lawn is healing, you're not seeing like more spots appearing, then you really can call it good and you should be good to go until the next time it's necessary for you to do your preventative app. So hope that helps, sir. Sorry you're dealing with it. If you've got a disease problem, you're certain that's what it is, I would not wait to address it because they tend to only get worse, not necessarily better. All right, William Huffer says, when is a good time in the late fall to apply a fall fertilizer in Maryland? I have new seed coming up about 3.5 inches tall now. Now would be a great time, William, a great time to apply a fall fertilizer. The big thing is whenever the grass is actively growing, and you being in Maryland, you have cool season grass, I imagine. It sounds like you also did like a seeding project. So yeah, you're going to start mowing the lawn. Now's a great time to also begin feeding it. The fertilizer that a lot of folks use this time of year on their cool season lawns is this guy. So if you go to shop on the Golf Course Lawn Store and lawn fertilizer, this one, Stress 12-0-24, is an excellent choice. If you're looking for a slower feeding fertilizer, one a little more extended release, this would be a great choice. Or you could also go with Humic Max. So the 1608, either one of those would be an appropriate choice for a fall fertilizer for a cool season lawn. For warm season turf grass, I would only really recommend this. I'd recommend the higher potassium, the Stress 12-0-24, but cool season, you can do either one of them. You could do Humic Max or the 12-0-24. Either of those would work well for you. And yeah, you can absolutely do that now. And the thing to keep in mind is the rates that you'll see there, and actually I'll link it for you here on Facebook, so I see you're on Facebook, William. The rates that you see on the for the spreader settings for the Lebanon fertilizers that we carry, those are the lower rates. So on the bag, on the label, Lebanon supplies 2 different rates. They supply one that has you putting out the product at 0.5 pound of nitrogen per 1,000, and they have another one that has you putting out the nitrogen at 0.9 pounds per 1,000, so right at a pound per 1,000. All the rates that we offer, all the spreader settings that we offer are going to have you on that lower end. So half of pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. So that, stick to that, like stay on the lower end. It really doesn't take a lot of these products to get a good result. And if you do that, I think you'll be very happy with that. So congrats on the new lawn. Definitely feed it, mow it, and set the standard in your neighborhood. That's what I would tell you to do. Great stuff. I appreciate you chiming in and asking questions. Really do appreciate it. Okay, now we will find out where we left off, which is right here. All right. Rectoplay says, you just covered the answer of Scissors question. Thanks. You're very welcome, Rectoplay. No problems, man. I get the same questions over and over, so it's no worries at all. And then Scissors says, thanks, Ron. Your answers are always descriptive and to the point. I will follow the launch schedule from here on out. Thanks, man. I'll tell you, like in the Academy, we have a more detailed calendar, like the Golf Course Lawn Academy, which is our paid course. So commercial break time. If you go to here, to Lawn Academy and course details, this is a paid course that we offer on the Golf Course Lawn Store, if it will load. I don't know. I tell you, ever since I upgraded to the new Mac OS, my browser has been doing weird stuff. All right. So hopefully they release a patch here soon, because it's been weird ever since then. Okay, at any rate, the Golf Course Lawn Academy is another option. It's our paid course. It costs $179.97. It's a one-time purchase that gets you access to video training, gets you a discount on the Golf Course Lawn Store from your Amici Green products, and most importantly, gets you access to our private Facebook group where all the super crazy lawn nerds all hang out and congregate. It's a drama-free zone. And if you're looking for an even more detailed schedule than the free one that's on the store now, you can feel free to sign up and do that. So just another option for you, depending on the level of involvement that you're looking for, a level of help that you're looking for. But yeah, a lot of folks, tons and tons and tons of folks, hundreds of folks follow this and get. I mean, they set the standard in their neighborhood. This is a free, completely free, and a lot of people follow this and they get an awesome result. And we're going to make it even better. We're working on a calendar, like an actual calendar to go along with this to make that available to you guys. So just kind of provide more value, help you guys get amazing lawns, make your lawns the envy of the neighborhood. That's what we all aim for, right? So that next couple of weeks that should be available. But we're just finishing up, trying to make it look as good as possible, proofreading everything, and then it will be sent out for all of you guys to be able to use. All right, Andre Taylor is up next. He says, is it okay if I combine the micronutrient blend and Pillar SC in a backpack sprayer and apply them at the same time? Or would you apply Pillar SC and then separately apply the micronutrient blend? Andre, if it were me, I would apply them separately. Here's why. Pillar SC, to apply it properly, you're going to want to use this spray tip. It's going to have a large droplet size. It's going to look almost like a shower head coming out, spraying your lawn. And the beautiful thing about this spray tip is that it's going to allow Pillar SC to get past the grass and get into the soil where it can work, right? Which is what you want with a fungicide. Now, this guy, which is more appropriate for spraying the micronutrient, is going to produce a nice fine droplet, fine mist that's going to allow it to just lightly coat the leaf of your turf grass, which is the way that our liquid micronutrient is designed to work. It's going to allow it to be absorbed and help you get that nice deep green color. So the way you think about it is this. The foliar sprays that we offer, like Primo Max, the liquid micronutrient you're talking about, think of them as like sunscreen, right? Like if you're putting sunblock on or sunscreen on, then you're going to put a light amount on, you're going to work it in, you're going to cover your skin, and you want a nice thin film, and that's going to do a pretty good job helping protect your skin from damage from the sun, right? What you wouldn't do is get like a big, well, kids do this, but I mean, anyone that knows how to apply sunscreen probably is not going to do that. You're not going to take sunscreen and like, put a ton of it on your arm to the point of runoff where it's just dripping off and, some of it's all falling off your arm. That is what this spray tip is like. This spray tip is like that. It's going to apply it more heavily. It's going to be a larger droplet, and that would not be appropriate for sunscreen. You can think of our foliar sprays, Primo, most post-emergent herbicides, liquid fertilizers like the Golf Course Lawn 22-3 or our micronutrient. They benefit from that light coat, and this spray tip is the more correct one to use for that. So while it is more work, and I realize I'm asking you to do more work, while it is more work, you will get a better result using the correct spray tip to do that. So yep, 2 applications is what I'd say. Like walk the lawn twice if you really want to get the best result. And as far as order that I would do those in, you could do the micronutrient, say you're doing them on the same day. You could do the micronutrient blend in the morning, and allow it to dry, because it doesn't take very long. 4 hours is all you really need. And then in the evening, you could then go out and spray Pillar SC and run your irrigation the following day, and you're good to go. All right, Corey is up next. He says, I'm having water coming from the AC unit on the side of the house that has shade. Now, blackish green moss is starting to affect the grass. Will moss out work? I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, okay, so like a moss product will work. I don't think so. So what will happen is you'll use that product. It will knock the moss back for a little bit, but what the thing we haven't fixed is, drum roll, the conditions, right? The conditions that are causing the problem in the first place. So shade, you're probably not going to be able to do a whole lot about that in this case. It sounds like it's the side of the house where the actual house is, preventing a lot of direct sunlight. But another issue you have is like water from the AC unit, right? So that's something we can do something about. So instead of allowing that water to pool there, like where you're having the problem with the moss forming, maybe if you can figure out some way to divert that to run that water to like a driveway or somewhere else where it just drains away from that area to where the water doesn't settle. That's going to create conditions that are less ideal for moss to be able to develop in that spot. And we'll see if that's enough, right? It might not be enough between just for you not having enough sunlight. But I mean, if you combine, acidic soil, a lot of moisture, and then a lot of shade, then that's like perfect conditions for moss algae problems to tend to be. And if you go out and apply a product, it's not really, it'll be like a Band-Aid fix. It's going to fix it for a while, but then it's going to come right back. So I would work on the thing that we do know about that's contributing to it, that you can actually address, which is having a lot of water just pool there over time. So that's what I would put your time into, Corey. All right, next up is Adam Starks. He says, hey Ron, hope all is well. How long after putting out the 12024 and fungicide do you have to wait to do a soil test? Asking to get the most accurate test result for a soil test. Yeah, so what I would do is if you've applied a fertilizer, or a granular fertilizer anyway, I would give it 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks from the time you last put down a granular fertilizer before you pull cores for a soil test. Ideally, what would have been good is right before you put out the 12024, it would have been to pull cores right before you put the granular fertilizer out, but it sounds like that ship has sailed. So in this case, wait 4 weeks and then pull cores to test your soil. That'll be okay. You should get a pretty accurate result if you were to do that. Fungicide, not going to really matter, but the 12024 absolutely will influence your soil test results if you go out and pull cores like immediately after you do that. So give it 4 weeks and then pull cores, and you should be in a good spot for getting an accurate result. It's a great question, Adam. I like where you're going, man. You're putting out your fungicide app, you're getting your fertilizer down, and your soil testing. You're just doing it all. I dig it. I like it. All right. Next up, we have Colin. C. Pims has entered the live stream yet again. He says, I'm looking at possibly trying out Carbon Pro G or Carbonized PN next year. What are the main differences between the two? Also, I'm assuming using them after aeration would be best. Yes, so I'll answer your question in reverse. Using either product after aeration, yes, would be best. And the biggest difference between Carbon Pro G and Carbonized PN is that one is a pelletized product in the form of Carbon Pro G, and the other one is like a compost or soil type product. So if you're looking to do a top dressing, then Carbonized PN, excellent choice. If you're looking to do like a product that you can put out and it be easier to apply with a spreader, then Carbon Pro G. If you look at the makeup, the label for both of them, you'll see they're pretty much identical. Like the one thing that Carbon Pro G has, and I believe Carbonized PN does not have, is that Miramichi Green adds a small microbial package to Carbon Pro G. But essentially, as far as what the products are, they're pretty much 50%. They're like half compost and half biochar. That's what you're getting in both Carbonized PN and Carbon Pro G. I want to say that Carbon Pro G is something like, it's like 47% biochar, 47% compost, and like 6% the microbial package, whereas Carbonized PN is like a 50-50, right? It's like half compost, half biochar. So there you go. And on the topic of biochar, not to use this as a selfish chance to promote a new blog post on the store, but why not? Today we released a new blog post on biochar on that very topic. So if you go to resources and blog, we released a new blog post discussing why biochar is the secret ingredient for your lawn this fall. Not only this fall, but why applying it this fall has a lot of benefits. Talks about what biochar is, why it's beneficial for lawn health, why fall is a great time to apply it, how to apply biochar, top products for applying biochar. You can see Essential G making its debut there, or showing up there, and also carbonized PN. So if you're interested in learning about all things biochar in a condensed form that teaches you everything you need to know, but what you don't really need to know, then take a look at that. Again, it's a recent post you just put out. A lot of work went into it, and I think you will get some value out of it, Colin, given that you are interested in this topic. Okay, and you follow up and you say, can you use them as top dressing as well without aeration? You can, but if you think about it, like the benefit of biochar and compost is you're really using it to help improve the soil profile. You're using it to help improve nutrient uptake, nutrient availability. Because if you ever think about what biochar is, it's like it's very porous, right? It's almost like you think of it almost like charcoal to an extent, and for it to work well from a standpoint of making nutrients more available, you want it to be in the soil, right? So if you can apply it after you aerate when the soil is all opened up, that's like fast tracking it into the soil profile, which is where it's going to help to work better. So can you use it without aeration? Yes, absolutely. Like I apply Essential G to my lawn every month. Having said that, if I'm aerating the lawn, I absolutely am going to do an Essential G application right afterwards. I'm absolutely not going to sleep on the chance to do that. So they can be done without it, but definitely as part of top dressing and or aeration, you wanna use them as well. All right, next up is So Fair Love. He says, hey Ron, I'm hoping to get the Revolution 20 whenever it comes out. I don't have a real mower now. Is there anything I can do to prepare my lawn for the spring? Yeah, I mean, things you can do are get a soil test. And based on the results, if you see that your soil pH is not where it needs to be, you can apply amendments this time of year to help correct that or help move the pH to more ideal levels. So what we're targeting is like the mid sixes ideally. And outside of that, you can also put out a biochar product like Essential G, like that would be okay. So I'll show you really quick. If you go to shop and go to soil test kits and pH adjustments, if my browser will behave, you can, let me try this tab, see if it'll actually work. So you can get a soil test kit here, or so that's thing one. If you if you don't have a probe tool, I would highly recommend getting this one, the starter pack that comes with both the soil test kit and the probe tool. You'll need to buy this version one time, but it's worth getting because this thing makes it a lot easier to pull cores. And if you're wondering like how to use a soil test, I have a video on saying how to test your soil and then how to read the soil test results. So how to use it and how to interpret the results. So you're all good to go there. And then as far as the granular biostimulant product in the form of Essential G, if you go to shop and Miramichi Green Biostimulants, you've got Essential G front and center right there. That would be a great choice of something you can do this time of year as far as inputs go. And outside of that, just wait for that new mower to show up and get ready to dominate next season, man. Get enjoy mowing your lawn. There's not going to be a whole lot of mowing this year. I mean, if you get it, well, actually, I'm not sure. I think they were not releasing it until I think next year. I think in December. Last I heard was like later on this year is when they're going to start announcing it and making it available for pre-order, I believe. So with that being the case, if that still holds true, then I imagine early spring is when you're going to be able to actually take delivery on it, right? So in the meantime, you can do a soil test and you can apply Essential G. Those are things you can do. All right, next up is Brian Baldino. He says, hey Ron, thanks for the show tonight. I have a little bit of dollar spot on the grass. I used this oxystrobin the instant I saw the mycelium weak and later Gravex myclobutano. Does dollar spot kill everything? So a couple of things. Thing one, I might be mistaken on this, but I don't believe azoxystrobin is labeled for controlling dollar spot. I'm pretty sure you need propiconazole for dollar spot. So that's thing one. I might be wrong on that, but I believe I'm right. So azoxystrobin isn't going to do a whole lot for you. The other product, I'm not sure what that is, but just make sure you check the label and make sure it's labeled for use to control dollar spot. And as far as that goes, hang on a second here. I'm gonna help you out. if you are actually dealing with that problem in your lawn, we have, where is it? Where is it? We have a blog post on this very topic on how to prevent and control dollar spot in your lawn. It now does it kill everything? It depends on how long you let it, how bad how long you let it go without taking care of it. Most people, like, if you look at this picture here, like, it can look as nasty as that. But really, when you start seeing the signs like that, what you see there, that's when putting out a fungicide like Headway G or Pillar SE makes a lot of sense. If you want to read about dollar spot, how to treat it, how to prevent it from being a problem in your lawn, some options for that, I will link this in the chat for you. I'm not familiar with that other product you spoke about, but I'm pretty certain that azoxystrobin isn't labeled to control dollar spot. I think you need propiconazole for that. Again, I might be wrong, but I don't think so. All right. So there you go, Brian. There's two of you guys. There's another one. So this link right here will take you to that blog post on dollar spot. All right. Next up, I'm not sure what that. What you're after there, Jimmy. But thanks for the comment. And then next up is No Name. He says, "Hey, Ron and fellow enthusiasts, finish the season strong and get those likes up." Yeah, definitely, guys. We're at 109 likes, so we're moving in the right direction. I like that. I like it. I like what you guys are doing here. We're much better. You're very welcome, Juan. And then Jimmy Miller says, "Neighbor cut my lawn for me since my mowers have been down for 6 weeks. Thus far, I have removed 10 to 12 trash cans full of clippings. Removal has been a great workout. Once finished, can I fertilize?" Yeah, so I would do, I know you're in Georgia, Jimmy, like one more fertilization. If you're talking about granular fertilizer for this time of year would be okay. Ideally, a fertilizer with higher potassium, like our 12-0-24 is what I recommend. And then call it good. Like, no more granular inputs after that. Again, that's just me trying to be ultra conservative to prevent problems with like spring dead spot. Because if you've ever had it in your lawn, it absolutely stinks. Literally, your lawn will be lush and green, looking awesome. In like April timeframe, you got these patches of like dead grass. And there's nothing you can do about it until it just grows through it. So a good way to prevent that is avoid a lot of N going into the soil this time of year. All right. And then next up, you're very welcome, Killer Clips. And then next up, we have Gary Cal Jr. says, why does everyone say to push and in cool season grass in the fall? Here's the thing. If I am not a huge fan of it, but there are folks that think that the nitrogen blitz is a great thing to do. The idea is that you build up nitrogen stores as the lawn is going into dormancy or into winter months, so it recovers faster in the springtime is some of the idea behind it. I believe there is some research that shows that there is something to that. So that is the reasoning why, at a high level, is why cool season folks are such a fan of doing what they call the nitrogen blitz. But then you said, I myself was going down your stress blend and with fungicide, my lawn goes dormant. What do you think? Yeah, so for warm season lawns, I would not do that. I really wouldn't. I would not push a bunch of nitrogen this time of year. You're just gonna, it's not gonna produce the result that you're after, which is to make the lawn stay alive or stay non-dormant longer. And you're just creating conditions where you are going to have disease problems next year if you do that. So it's just not worth it. When the lawn starts to go dormant, let it go dormant. Kind of like with a cool season lawn, I wouldn't go out and try and push a bunch of growth in a cool season lawn in the middle of summer. That's a time of the year when the lawn is stressed, growth slows down, it's just trying to survive. Like, if you want to feed it, you can, but you want to limit the amount of nitrogen you're putting into the lawn that time of year because the lawn is stressful. There's not time for you to really try and push growth then. So that's more of a cool season lawn thing. There is some research that says there's something to it, but it's not something that I typically recommend to folks, honestly, Gary. And definitely for warm season lawns, no, don't do that on a warm season lawn. All right, next up is Jimmy. He says, I wonder if Lee's looking for people to test out Real Roller's version of the Rotilla. If so, how can I sign up to be a tester? You gotta ask Lee. Go call Real Rollers and ask him. See what he says. I am not the one I have no pull in that place as far as like beta testers or products or things like that. So I would just reach out to the man himself, and he will be able to tell you what he's thinking. And then at Terran Stamps, Ritter from Home Depot will help with squirrels, animals digging in your yard. Cool. There you go. So there's a product for it. All right. Abraham Soto says, "Hey Ron, I'm planning on pulling 6-inch plugs on my established Bermuda next spring to fill in other areas. What should I use to fill in the empty holes if I have pure clay, half inch currently? So should I skip core aeration if I pull plugs?" It depends on how much you're doing. I don't think you're gonna be pulling that many plugs, but typically what most people do, Abraham, is if you're pulling plugs of grass from a healthy spot of the lawn and you're transferring them to an area of the lawn where there is like just bare soil, whenever you use the same plugging tool to pull that plug out of the bare area, you can take that dirt and just move that to the area where the lawn is doing well. So you just kind of swap them, if that makes sense. So that's what I would do with the plugs that you take. You really shouldn't end up with a bunch of empty holes, is what I'm trying to say. And then should you skip core aeration? No, not really. Because I mean, core aeration has a lot of benefits, and you're not likely to, unless you're going to tell me you're going to be plugging the entire lawn, which I kind of doubt. There's still room for core aeration. What you might do is this: you might wait. Like how would I go about doing that? If it were me, I would core aerate and then transfer the plugs after. The reason why is if let's say you transfer the plugs in say April next year, right? And then like May, you decide, hey, it's time to core aerate. The plugs, the lawn, those new plugs may not be fully established yet, and you don't want to go over and run over them with the aerator and possibly have the aerator like yank or pull the new grass that you're trying to get to grow in out. So if you're going to do it, I would aerate first and then do your plugging project afterwards, because then once the plugs are moved, for the most part, they're going to be there. You're just going to be watering them and give them, allow them to take root and grow in. So if you're going to do it, aerate and then transfer plugs is what I would recommend, unless you're going to wait till like later on in the summer to do it. You know what I mean? You want to definitely give the plugs ample time to root in really well to where when you run an aerator over them, you're not going to be undoing all the work that you just did as far as, transfer them into those bare spots. Okay, next up is Kane Khan. Long time, man. He says, long time, just stopping by to show some love. I appreciate it, man. Long time I haven't seen you. So glad to see that you're doing well. And I appreciate you stopping by to say hello on the show, man. Appreciate it. Michael Kuhn says, how long after seeding new grass do you fertilize again after the initial feeding? Thank you. So I'd say 4 weeks, Michael. Once you start mowing the new lawn, then you absolutely want to begin feeding it. But I'd say at least 4 weeks between when you did the initial fertilization, when you seeded, before you would consider doing any kind of fertilization again. And again, this is assuming that you're applying the fertilizers at the rates that I recommend, which is about half a pound of nitrogen. So you're not dumping like a pound, 2 pounds of nitrogen into the soil. Like you're being sensible about how much N you're putting in. And if you're doing that, then 4 weeks between applications would be just fine. Nature Boy says, good evening, bro. Ron, hey, what's going on, Nature Boy? I appreciate you coming by to say hello. And you said, I use Scott starter fertilizer, by the way. It should be okay. Same thing. I would, as long as the rate that you're applying it at is you're putting out about half a pound of N, 4 weeks later on, you should be okay. Should be good to go. Jimmy says, what happened to Papa Mo's Low? I've not seen him on your stream in a while. No, he was here last week. He's probably just out doing, grandpa stuff or whatever. But I mean, yeah, he was here last week. He's still here pretty regularly. All right, next up is Michael Kuhn. He says, so just asking out of curiosity, but I've watched videos of people cutting their lawns with $100 reel mowers with a clean looking cuts. So why do people spend thousands on reel mowers? Because the $100 push mower will produce a pretty good cut. A powered reel mower is like another level. So what I always tell folks is you go from like a rotary mower, like your Honda HRX, to like a push reel mower. It's like an order of magnitude better. And then if you go from a push reel mower to a powered reel mower, it's almost a bigger jump than what you get going from like rotary to initial reel, because The clip rate on a powered reel mower is higher, so it's just going to be a more even cut. You're going to be able to cut lower with a powered reel mower. The cut is going to be more even. It's just another world. It's another level. So if you look at a lawn at a distance, and it's been cut with a push reel mower, it's gonna look pretty good, when you're sitting far back. But if you cut a mower, I'll give you an example, like this lawn right here, like Dalen's lawn, right? Like that is cut with a powered reel mower. A push reel mower is not going to produce that look. So you see how tight and like how perfect and smooth that cut is, and that's that's pretty low. It's at 3/4 of an inch. You're going to be hard pressed to get a cut like that with a push reel mower. This is another one here. Yeah, that's some rotary love. I think he's using a Greensmaster for that. So it's just levels. Best way to answer it, Michael, is there's levels to it. Push reel mower, great. It's going to be definitely a step up from a powered rotary mower, but a powered reel mower, Greensmaster, John Deere, is another order of magnitude. And here's the thing: even within powered reel mowers, there's different levels. So you take like a True Cut, which is a pretty popular powered reel mower, True Cut, California Trimmer, McLean, all great mowers, and they will produce a cut that is much better than what you will get out of a powered reel mower. Going from one of those to a greens mower is another level of awesome. It's like it's that much better. It's like you visually, there's a difference when you go to a greens mower cutting a lawn versus even like a powered reel mower. Now the new Revolution from Reels Rollers is a really good mower because they've taken a lot of the tips and tricks that make greens mowers really good, and as much as they could put that into that mower. So between my Greensmaster and that, there's not a lot in it. But a greens mower still cuts better, still produces a better cut than like I'd say your first tier of powered reel mowers. So it just depends. Like, how picky are you? How good of a cut are you after? There's always levels. There's levels to everything, man. And there's nothing wrong with $100 reel mower. And to think about it, you do get to the point of diminishing returns to an extent, because could you argue? Let's say you look at like a Greensmaster 1600, right? If you're buying a pre-owned one in pretty good shape, low hours, you're going to spend, say, $3,000 on one, right? Is it 30 times better than a push reel mower? Probably not, but it's, I don't know, maybe 10 times better. It's a big difference. It's a visual difference. Like, you're not going to look at a push reel mower and a powered reel mower and be like, these cuts look similar. It's not even in the same universe. But as the higher up you go, like most things, it does get to a point of diminishing returns. And you said not trying to be a hater. No, you're not being a hater. It's a legitimate question, and it really depends on you. Like, there's some people that use rotary mowers, that use rotary mowers and love the cut they get with them, and that's all they ever want to run on Bermuda grass. And there's people that use push reel mowers and they love them and they get a great result with them. And then there's some people that are just constantly just chasing the next level, and they go into powered reel mowers, and it is better. You know what I mean? So it depends on you. Depends on how much time you have, what your budget is, how good of a cut that you really are after, because it does make a difference. Like, I wonder if I got Oliver's lawn here. I don't even have his lawn. If you want to see a wicked, like an insane real mode lawn that shows, like, if you have when you get it all right, like the look that you can get out of a lawn cut with a greens mower. I don't have his labeled here, man. I'm irritated at myself because his wait, maybe yeah. So look at that. See that look? You're not going to get that look with a push reel mower. I mean, it's going to look good, but it's not going to look like that. Like, I mean, that beautiful, like, flat, pristine, like, manicured, tight carpet. Oh, I mean, that's a whole different level of awesome. So it just depends on you. Depends on you, man. All right. Next up, you said, how can I send you a picture of my lawn project? You can email it to me. Email it to ron@golfcourselawn.com. And I will see if I can get it on the show. If not this week, we will get it on the show for next week. So I start building out the, as I get emails with pictures from folks, I begin building out next week's show like this week. So there you go. So that's my email address, ron@golfcourselawn.com. Send me pictures of your lawn if you want them to be on the show, and I will do my best to help you out. All right, we're running down here, getting towards the end. JT says, my grandma likes a 1.5 inch height of cut and wants to maintain her yard. For the thin areas, due to some laws, apply that a height of cut that if you cut often will spread just as fast as if it were lower. I guess the question you're asking yourself, the question you're asking is, can you get a lawn to spread if you're maintaining it at 1.5 inches versus if you cut it shorter than that? The answer is yes. But what you tend to find is if you take it depends on the grass type for one, but if you take a grass like Bermuda, if you mow Bermuda at say 3 inches, it's going to tend to be less dense, the term they often use is like leggy. It'll tend to be less dense than if you are mowing it at say 3/4 of an inch. Because what it is if you think about it, is if you allow the Bermuda to get to 3 inches, there's a lot of leaf that it can throw off the stalk that's catch plenty of sunlight. So there's not really a whole lot of reason for it to have to creep or grow horizontally. Whereas if you start cutting it shorter and shorter and shorter, then, I mean, not that Bermuda has like a brain or can think for itself, but it's trying to get sunlight. So if you're always cutting it off, then the most efficient way for it to grow leaf, to be able to catch sunlight, is to start growing horizontally, right? Start growing laterally. So what you tend to find is that when you are maintaining a lawn at a shorter cutting height, like Bermuda, it tends to thicken up and it tends to creep more than if you're mowing it at taller heights. Now, 1.5 inches, if you're mowing it 1.5 inches and you're mowing it a couple times a week, it's still going to spread. It's still going to fill in and be nice and thick. But if the shorter you go, it's going to be thicker, denser. Like again, a perfect example. If you look at like a Dalen's lawn at 3/4 of an inch. I mean, look how thick that is, right? If you look at how the lawn under the swing set, it's like a carpet. It's like a really dense, thick carpet. As you go taller, it tends to look more bushy instead of like nice and tight and dense. You know what I mean? So there are benefits to cutting shorter from an appearance standpoint. The negatives are that it's more work. So it depends how much time you have. I always tell people whenever they ask me how short should I maintain my lawn, and I always ask them is how much time do you have? The shorter you go, the more you got to do. So if you want to keep it nice and short, it looks awesome, but it's more time to mow it, more inputs as far as products you have to apply to keep it healthy at lower cutting heights. So it really depends on your budget and how much time you have as far as the cutting height that you're after. And then you're saying you're in Oklahoma, and if this doesn't work, I will definitely have to give up on ryegrass here. If it works, I wanted to show the viewers another option. Ryegrass is the softest to walk on, you're saying. Softest and nicest grass to walk on. Yeah, man, if you want to send pictures to me, I don't see them now, so I'll probably have to wait till next week. But yeah, get the pictures together. Please, if you can, send them in landscapes. If you're taking pictures on your phone, don't orient your phone like this. Turn it like this. Turn it sideways, lengthwise. Like along the like landscape, not portrait, because it makes it easier for me to get them on the live stream and show off the entire picture. Versus if you shoot them the other way, then it doesn't show up quite as well. All right, and then JT says, I have Bermuda. I should have mentioned that. Yeah, Bermuda can be fine at 1.5 inches. It'll grow fine there. It'll be nice and thick, and if you're mowing it a couple times a week, it'll look awesome at 1.5 inches. But in general, the shorter you mow it, the more it's going to tend to creep and spread, and the more it's going to thicken up and have that dense carpet-like look to it. So, but 1.5 inches is a perfectly good height for Bermuda grass. All right, our last comment of the evening comes from Mr. Ryan N. He says, I have compaction issues in Florida with St. Augustine grass. Should I core aerate top dress now or wait? It's in an area, I'm not sure, by the house where there's a lot of water collects. Top dress recommendation, I need to improve drainage. I guess it depends on what part of Florida you're in, Ryan. If you are south of, is it I-4? You're south of I-4, south of there, and you want to do an aeration and light top dress this time of year, that would be okay. Because again, Florida, you have winter, but you don't have like winter like we have up here, right? So if you want to do a light top dressing, that would be okay. If you want to wait till next year, that's fine too. If you do it now, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you do not go too heavy. So by that, I mean 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch of material, no more than that. That's going to be adequate for you to get a good result. And as far as top dressing recommendation, we're trying to relieve compaction. So I would say a blend of sand and compost. If you can find someone in your area that offers a blend of 70% sand, screen sand, and 30% either topsoil or a screen compost. The reason why I keep saying the word screen is that you're creating a lot less work for yourself if you ensure that the material they bring doesn't have a lot of debris and trash in it. So 70%, a 70-30 blend is great in my opinion for top dressing or leveling projects for residential lawns. It's enough sand that you're able to level and add structure and help improve the soil profile. And the compost that you're adding also is very nice in the sense that you're also putting organic material into the soil, which is good for just good for the soil profile. It's great for getting a healthy stand of turf grass. So that is what I would do. And top dressing, as far as improving drainage, one of the biggest benefits to top dressing or leveling project is drainage. Case in point, if you look at my, and I don't have any, I wish I had pictures of it, took pictures from years ago, but if you look at my lawn from whenever Hurricane Helene or Helen, however you want to say it, was passing through, this is Friday morning when the storm was passing, and you can see there is a lake forming in the back lawn, mainly because that is a low spot and that's where the lawn drains. So all the water runs from there out towards the front and into the street, right? So that's what the lawn looked like in the morning. Just 4 hours later, when it stopped raining, this is how it looked. So you can see how big of a difference, how well top dressing works as far as pulling moisture, pulling water away from the surface. And then I mowed that lawn that afternoon before the live stream. So it went from literally a swimming pool in the back lawn. 4 hours later, the water was drained out. That afternoon, it was dry enough that I could take my mower out and go mow it, and it was absolutely fine. So one of the biggest benefits you're going to have to leveling a leveling project is relieving that compaction and just improving drainage. You're going to really love the benefits you get out of doing that. So hope that helps, sir. And then next up is Zach Hall. Last question of the evening. He says, what rate of spectacle flow per 1,000 square feet do you run? I put it out at 0.10 ounces, so a tenth of a fluid ounce per 1,000 square feet. So what I do is I take, this is a Cellophane bottle, but I use it for applying it. So I have one of these in the garage that's got, it's all taped up. It's got spectacle flows labeled that it's for spectacle. And I use the measuring cup that's on here, and I put out that much, 0.10 in a gallon of water over 1,000 square feet. Now, because I have a 4-gallon sprayer, I will put out 0.4 fluid ounces in 4 gallons of water over 4,000 square feet. And then I water that in, and I'm good to go until December, until November, December timeframe, and I'll do it again. So there's a couple different ways of applying spectacle. This year, I decided to do the split application method again. So I did, again, 1/10 of an ounce now, and a 1/10 of an ounce in November, December timeframe. So hope that helps, sir. Great question. Hopefully that's all you need. If you need anything else, let me know. And guys, gals, with that, I think that is it for this evening. Thank you guys so much for all the awesome questions, all the great feedback. I'm glad that the content, the store, the live stream is useful for you guys. So I really do appreciate you guys taking time out of your Friday evening to come hang out. You know what? I also want to extend a special thanks. Now, here's the thing, guys. Normally, I'm pretty hard on the Alabama crowd, and I'm still hurt by the emotional roller coaster that Georgia put us through during that Alabama game, and not one time tonight was there a roll tide. So I can no longer say that. I used to say that, Alabama fans are not graceful in victory. And I can't say that because you guys, I'm sure you were here lurking, and none of you guys came in and were like, nanny, we smacked you guys. We showed you guys how it was done, how did it feel to feel like you're winning for a little bit, and then 13 seconds later for us to come back and win the game. See, there was none of that. You guys were really good. And I have to eat my words and say that, I can't say that you guys are unsportsmanlike anymore. Now, I'm sure you'll do something at some point in the season where that will change. But this weekend, I was telling everybody, I was telling folks at karate, telling folks, my friends said, man, listen, live stream this Friday is going to absolutely be horrible. Them Alabama folks are coming for me, man. They're going to be in here. I'm about to get wrap myself in aluminum foil, have a flame suit because they're going to come after me. But you guys did. So I appreciate that. So have an amazing weekend, guys. Get out there, do something fun in the lawn. If you've not put out a preventative fungicide, now is a great time to do it. We have Headway G and Pillar SC in stock on the Golf Course Lawn Store to take care of you, along with our line of fertilizers and other soil amendments to get your lawn looking its absolute best and to make you the envy of the neighborhood. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. and I'll see you guys next week. Have an amazing weekend.